Yes, people, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 2. What can you say? What can we say? Marlon, what do you think, man? Where did it all go wrong?
I think, you look at Lloris today, captain, meant to be our captain. You look at their man of the match and you go, that's probably the biggest difference. Lloris in that situation has to be commanding, has to be our captain, and he's let us down. I know there's a catalogue of errors before that, but you got looking at the bigger picture. Yes, Lloris at the moment.
Are you saying if Lloris saves that, it changes the whole complexion of the game?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It's one of them. I can say that now because I know it's happened, but
it definitely puts us at a disadvantage.
Yeah, because if Ramsdale makes the mistake, I think it's a totally different game. But he doesn't. He makes that save from Son in the first half, and the defence is comfortable. They're like, we trust our goalkeeper. Because after Lloris makes that mistake, how dodgy were we at the back?
Yeah, this is it.
Is the question.
Because do you think that seeps into the back line? Because if you don't trust the man that's behind you, do you think that all of a sudden the defence are not so front-footed? They sit back a bit.
Yep.
Midfield sit back a bit.
I think that's what's happened with the second goal.
And then all of a sudden there's a gap, there's spaces in that middle part between midfield or defence and attack. Yeah. And that's where the space is in where Thomas Partey was. Yeah. And he's able to thread those balls into your Sakas, into your Odegaards and create havoc. Yeah,
because you make a good point there. With that second goal, I think the back three have stepped further back because they don't trust their goalkeeper, which means he's got the space of the whole of Tottenham to take that shot, line it up. And we already were warned 2 or 3 minutes before when he had a shot. Partey, again, when he had the shot and hit the post, we were warned. But when you don't trust your goalkeeper, maybe they are going to sit back and be on where they were, on the edge of the box, thinking, if you're going to take a shot from there, it's going to have to be a good hit. And it was.
It was a very good hit. What did you think of Kane's performance?
He played well, played okay. He was in and out of the game. I think, again, the team wasn't up to a certain standard. But if you're looking at positives out today, Kane played okay. Kane had a typical Kane game. He couldn't. There was nothing more I don't think Kane could have done. Even when he took that shot in the second half where he's put it on target, but Ramsdale's made a wonderful save. Yeah, you think he done that to Alisson against Liverpool? He puts that in the bottom corner. So there's a difference now. And there's a difference. That's why probably right now Arsenal sitting where they are and Liverpool sitting where they are, because of situations like that.
So, statistically, Spurs had more of the ball. We've had more shots on goal. We have more corners. We conceded more fouls. We had more shots on target. We had more corners. But yet, we lose 2-0. The first half, what did you make of it? We lost the 2 goals. The 2 goals came from the first half. And would you say it's first... forget statistics, because statistics don't paint what happened on the pitch. Yeah. Do you think in the first half, the reason why we went behind is because we were poor in the first half, or is it because, Arsenal were better than us?
This is going to sound a bit controversial. I don't think we were poor. They were just better than us. They were literally better than... in midfield today, they were better than us, and that was the problem. If you look at that first half, Thomas Partey, again, picks up the ball, lays it to Saka. Thomas Partey picks up the ball, lays it to Saka.
Common denominator.
And it was Cesc. And then I think it was the third or fourth time they haven't picked up these mistakes. They score a second. Now, was it... Yes, we might have been missing the Bentancur today. Kulu wasn't involved as much in the first half. But it's a case of... what do you do? Where do you go from there? But I don't know. Kane, there's a lot. We wasn't terrible, but we wasn't up for the game like a North London derby as we should be.
Do you give Conte some criticism for leaving 2 midfielders against their 4-3-3? We had the 3-4-3 formation, so the 2 were sitting in the middle.
No, because I don't know, because I think of it like this: the mistakes, the second goal obviously was down to we didn't have enough people in midfield. Yeah, we were getting overrun in midfield, but does that leave? We still got, Lloris probably still makes the mistake when it comes to him and Cess. Cess still allows Odegaard to have the freedom. Maybe if there's an extra man in midfield, he doesn't get the freedom. I don't know, but Conte has to take some criticism on that. But it's tactic. He got outdone by Arteta, which is, I can't believe a year on I'm saying that.
I don't think Arsenal outplayed us in terms of the 2 goals. They didn't create the goal, as in like.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Did you see where I'm going with this? So defensively, in a 3-4-3 formation, in my opinion, you have your 3 centre backs, right? Which one left centre back protects the left post. You got your central centre back, which is in front of your keeper, that protects the middle. And then you've got your right centre back that protects the right post. And it also, when they split into the 3, the left centre back becomes a left back and your right centre back becomes a right back. And then you have your central defender becoming in the centre. So anything that comes central, your centre back, your main centre back covers that. And then you have your 2 in front of them, the 2 double pivots, which are 2 defensive midfielders, which protect the front 3 and they protect the middle. And they can also protect your left-sided centre-back, or they can protect your right-centre-back. But more times you need someone centrally to protect that middle, because that's where the shots happen. So if one of the double pivots protect the left, one sits in the middle, and the centre-back pushes up to create the 2 to stop the space from coming in.
Yeah.
You've got your 3 up top as well. Your 3 up top can become more narrow, so you've got your 2 wing forwards that can become 2 attacking midfielders, and that can stop anything that's happening in the middle, any attacks that happen in the middle. If they progress quickly, they're there to protect it. Equally, they're there to help the wing backs out as well. If they push too high up, they're able to drop in to fill in those in those spaces. And then you've got your top man at the top. I feel like when we've lost the ball, in that second goal especially, Lloris has gone long, and I feel like 3 of the players have pushed up, and that's created space in behind, and I think that's where it's hurt us the most.
Yeah.
And I just want, if we do push forward and we are attacking, just to have one of those defensive midfielders to be switched on, and there needs to be communication. So if one of the midfielders, the double pivots, push on, I would prefer one of the midfielders to sit and a centre-back to sit and communicate with each other and say, hang on a minute, we're all pushing up. I need one of you guys to sit back with me and one of the other centre-backs, right-sided or left-sided, just to create a 3, just in case anything happens. So then that 3 there is still protecting, just in case their players protect, because Arsenal have a 5 attacking forward. They have Xhaka and Nketiah, they have Martinelli, and they've got Saka. And Odegaard, sorry. So those are the 5s that potentially would break if we do lose the ball. So I just want one of our marshals, whoever's at the back, even if Lloris says it, I want someone just to say, look, guys, I know we've got the ball a lot, but someone just be switched on. And for me, I don't think that happened when we pushed up. I felt like we were out of position, out of place, and there needed to be some communication happening when we lost the ball. No, totally. Equally, when we had the ball, I just don't feel like we have ball playing centre mids. In the middle of the park, I don't feel we have someone that can progress the ball forward. You've got Sarr, which was his first game, so he didn't have the game match experience. I'm leaning on Højbjerg a bit more because you're the experienced player. One needs to sit, one needs to bring the ball forward, or at least to join the attack. But as a double pivot, you've got to do a lot of running because you know that space in behind is left void. So you need to protect it. So for me, Sarr did a good defensive job. And I just wanted to see, and he protected the ball well as well. I've seen him win a couple free kicks. Yeah. And I saw him in that middle pivot. I saw him in that middle position.
No, agree.
For me, I needed Højbjerg to protect that left-hand side because a lot of the attacks were coming through Saka. Partey had a lot of space. So one of the two midfielders needed to press on him. He had too much time, too much space on the ball to pick out whatever player he wanted, whether it to be Xhaka, Martinelli, Saka, or Odegaard, or even Nketiah. He had too much. Even one of the centre backs when they pushed forward, I see Ben White pushing forward. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was creating an overload in our team. So we needed our defense to be switched on as full, because I thought the first 10 minutes we were switched on. We were pushing forward, but also equally, when we did go long, we lost a lot of our possession because the ball didn't stick into our front three: Kane, Kulusevski, and Son. We don't have a Messi. We don't have a Messi at our club. We're not going to be able to ping the ball in and they look after it. Kane's first instinct is to get the ball, spin in the half space, and switch. Same with Kulu, because they know that either Kane or Son are going to be up top. But for me, why not just look after the ball, play it simple, bring your other midfielders in, bring your other wing backs in, and let us progress up the pitch up a little bit, not slowly, but just progress a little bit different. Because sometimes when you try to force it, that's when mistakes happen, that's when errors happen, that's when you lose the ball, and countless of times it happened to Kulu. A lot of times, Kane, first touch was just off. Yeah. Son especially, second touch. I don't know what's going on with Son. Second touch is just awful. And I saw, look, but that chance that Sonny had, that first chance that we had, it was Sessegnon that did make the good run. Yep. He didn't have the best of games, but going forward, I did see him a lot. He just wasn't, the end product wasn't there from Sessegnon, in my opinion. He had to be better in that end product. But when Sessegnon makes that run, and it was good, when Son had that chance, he needs to be clinical. He needs to be ice cold. He needs to put it in that corner. And that, for me, it never happened. So there was like a catalogue of things that I didn't see enough of. Like, for me, Son's too deep. I need to see him in the half space a bit more. I need to see him as a top man. I need to see Kane drop in, play it simple, play it into Kulu hold up the ball. But like second half, for me, second half was much better than the first. Like, we went up to 2 down. I didn't say Arsenal completely dominated us. People can disagree, but formation-wise, I just feel like we just need to be a little bit more fluid. We're not fluid in that formation, in that 3-4-3. That's my criticism of Conte. We're not fluid. We're very rigid in that formation. Go on.
Shall we see what the guests have got to say about it?
Yes, we should.
Yeah, let's get the first one on.
Let's go. Who's our first caller? Who do we have? Man like Hassan.
Hassan, how are you?
Talk to me.
Talk to us.
Hey guys, how are you?
We've been better.
We've been better. You've probably been better as well. So go on. Where did it all go wrong for you today?
I don't know. I think I've just gotten to a point where I'm no longer upset. I'm sort of just detached from emotional feelings with Tottenham, really.
Mental health.
It's just not worth my time to like fuss over these stuff, because I expected this, right? We all knew this was going to happen. There's so many different problems within the club that one man isn't going to solve it, and in some cases, sometimes he adds to that. Right? You look at the owners and Levy. You know, the plan. There is no plan. Investment minimal. If you are investing into the wrong players, then you have the sporting director. God knows where Paratici is. I haven't seen a single thing of him at all. Conte is a manager who needs top players. He needs good wing backs. He needs 3 competent defenders. He needs a good keeper. He doesn't have any of those. So he's obviously going to fail. And it's also partly his fault for not being able to, I guess, maneuver around that in any sort of way. And then you have the players who, for North London derby, to be so lazy and scared and timid is not what we want as fans. Not, I'm not in the stadium, but for those 50, 60,000 people that went there to watch it, it's a disgrace. And then you have people at the medical team, where people like Bentancur, he's meant to come back in the start of the new year, and it's been 2 weeks into January and he's still out. And so I think it just runs through the entire club from top to bottom. There's just something just it doesn't click, and I think those performances will always reflect that until something changes from up above.
So obviously, the first goal today is a massive mistake from Hugo, and obviously it's not the first one we've seen in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Is the catalogue of errors now becoming a bit concerning for you?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a stat on Twitter that he's been the cause of 4 goals, like 4 errors leading to goals, and that's the most of any player in the Prem. And for that person to be your goalkeeper, it's... I mean, he'll have one good game where he saves a few good shots. You know, at Crystal Palace, I thought he had a decent game. He saved a few good shots. But then when it comes to the big occasions where you really need him to step up and really need to do something, he'll mess it up or make an error. And it doesn't help because I think there was a weird back pass he made early on. And I think everyone was just like, oh, okay. And the defenders were like, oh, we gotta help this guy out. And they were pushing deep, and there was no connection. I think from then on, it was just pray and hope that we don't concede, and then he just lets that goal into his net. And I think after that, it was just downhill. I didn't really see any chance of coming back.
What did you feel like? So, you know, you compare Lloris to Ramsdale today, and do you feel like that's a big, massive difference between the two sides where they've got a goalkeeper they can rely on, and at the moment, we've got a goalkeeper going into semi-retirement?
Yeah, I mean, we had a few good shots on goal. I mean, we had Sonny's first shot in the first half. Kane had a header. He had a shot on goal. There were a few crosses put in. Every single time he was up to the challenge. Right, he made good saves, and I think it puts confidence in the rest of the team, especially the defenders, Saliba and Gabriel. They're just like, you know, we can push up a little bit because we know our goalkeeper has it. But I feel like for our back three, they stay so insanely deep inside our own box that the pivot has to push back. The front two have to push back. Kane has to push back. So it's just this small block stuck on the edge of our box for Partey or Odegaard to just fling shots in. And eventually, if you give that much space, one of them's going to go in. And that's what happened with Odegaard's thing. And we need a new keeper. I mean, we need a lot. We need a lot in the club. We need a lot of stuff to come in, but keeper has to be one of them because... Has
it become the priority for you? Has it become more of a priority than defensive?
But then it depends on who's going to be the manager next season because I don't know. I don't think Conte knows or the board knows, anyone knows because, he hasn't put a new Penta contract. And I think that's one of the main issues that we have at the club is that we don't know the direction that we're going in. And if Conte had signed if he signed a 3-year contract and these are the performances, I'm like, okay, it sucks, I hate it, but I'll trust the process, right? We mock that phrase, but look what happened to Arsenal. They finished 8th. The football was terrible. They was crying for his name out, but over time they got rid of the dead players. Took losses on their purchases. They bought in players that he wanted, and eventually you see what's happening now. So if he signed that long-term contract and then stuff was, not working and it was taking a long time, but I saw a right wing back come in, I saw a left side center back come in, I saw this and this, I'd be like, you know what? I hate it. It sucks, but I'll trust it. But he's on his last 6 months. We still don't have a capable right wing back at the club. Our left centre back's on loan. We have no creativity in midfield. So it's like, how am I meant to be excited or hope for anything if there's nothing to show for on the pitch? And I think that's one of the main issues. There's just no connection between the fans and the club at the moment.
So you mentioned something there where you said, obviously, Arsenal kept with Arteta and they kept with him through the crap times when probably everyone wanted him sacked. If this was Daniel Levy in that situation, would he have sacked Arteta by now?
Probably, because I feel like Daniel Levy's a very reactive kind of individual. If the fans do start to get a bit up his back or just do start to get a bit aggressive, he'll go, well, I got to get something to make them happy again, right? We saw, I always bring this up when I'm talking to people. We spent 76 days looking for a manager in the summer. We said no to Ten Hag. We said no to Conte. All this small stuff.
Yeah.
That one game with Nuno where fans got a bit aggressive, within a day we somehow get Antonio Conte.
Yeah, with all these coaching
Right,
staff
so it's
as well.
very possible.
Yeah.
It's very possible. Yeah, with all the 15 coaching staff he has, all this big contract. So it's very easy for Daniel Levy to get deals done or to get stuff done. But he doesn't. He doesn't choose to unless there's pressure. So for me, I think he would have sacked Arteta. I think with all the fans, bowing down. But I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is the thing you got to ask yourself: is that we go through all these projects, but I don't think Levy don't see them out. So every time it starts to go to basically to shit, the manager gets sacked. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that point.
Yeah. It's like, if he were to sack Pochettino, right, which I didn't think was the right decision at the time. I think he should have trusted him and gone on a rebuild again. But let's say he does go, okay, you know what, 5 years, you tried your best, let's move on. Move on to someone who can continue that.
Yes.
Agreed, he then switches to Mourinho, who plays this type of football. And we're like, okay, we haven't won trophies in a long time. Maybe he's going, okay, we got to win trophies. Doesn't back him. And we're like, okay, he gets sacked. Conte comes in. We're like, okay, this guy will demand from the board. He will do this. He will do that. He's yada, yada, yada. And then again, doesn't back him. And I think fans have to slowly start waking up that the reality is that no manager that comes into Tottenham will get backed. I immediately look to Twitter and it's Poch in, get Pochettino back. It's like, for what? Maybe we'll play better football this season. Maybe next season he will play better football. But when the crunch time comes and Pochettino goes, look, I need X, Y, Z, Lee will be like, I'll give you X, maybe half of Y, and that's it.
But even under Poch, you remember the first couple of seasons, we weren't even playing great football. He didn't have the players to do it. And then at the end, he didn't have the players to do it. He just had it in the middle.
Stale.
Yeah. So
exactly, when stale.
Just a quick update. Well, this is a rumor. I'm not, now that we're talking about being backed and stuff. Transfer news saying Chelsea could hijack Tottenham's move for Sporting Lisbon. I'm going to say it anyway. It's put out there for Sporting Lisbon's star Pedro Porro, according to reports.
I wouldn't even be surprised. I called it from the moment we took. Yeah, because they need a right back.
They do need a right back.
Because Reece James is injured.
Everyone's saying they need a right back.
It's not a big release clause they have to pay. They're spending money like crazy. He'll want to upgrade to Chelsea to come to the Premier League. He's young. He'll believe in the project, and they'll get him.
Do you think the board panics at all? Do you think the board panics at all now that we've lost at home 2-0? Or do you think we carry on as usual? Is there any difference?
They'll carry on as usual. Why would they panic now? I mean, we lost Aston Villa 2-0. We were sitting fifth. We're so far off the ball. Why would a loss to Arsenal change them? Fans will continue to come to the stadiums. They'll continue to generate revenue. So at the end of the day, their priority is to make money. So if that's working, there's no need to panic, right? It's just how it is. They're meeting their objective, and it's a very blunt and sad future or sad topic or concept to think about. But that's how it is. And I remember early on when Conte would give those. Yeah, go for it.
No, I was going to say, what would you have changed today, like formation-wise, or not formation-wise, like tactically-wise?
I saw a lot of people going crazy about Basuma not starting, but there was, I think, Alistair Gold tweeted out saying that he's still struggling with that ankle injury.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
That he got. So EP for our medical team once again. So it's like, do you go with a midfield three of Sarr, Skip, and Højbjerg? I mean, that midfield just screams like, Sarr, Skip, and Højbjerg. It's not going to work. So, you have to take the risk and put, Sarr, who's probably better than Skip, and go the 3-4-3. So I wasn't mad with him for that choice. And then with Sessegnon, I can understand why he did it, because of Saka's pace. He doesn't want Perisic to get outdone. But it's sort of like, why the difference between Perisic and Sessegnon is so great and so vast that even if Sessegnon has a bit more defensive capability, you're going to lose so much of Perisic going forward.
Right.
You know, he has whatever 10 assists in all competitions for us. His crosses, we had nothing coming from Sessegnon. No single cross coming to the box to meet its person. And if you want wing backs to take on the man and cross, then Sessegnon isn't that type of player. So I that part, I think I was a bit frustrated with Conte for not trusting Perisic. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who he puts out. I don't think the result would have changed too much. If he put Perisic or he went to a 3-man midfield or he went to a 4 at the back or whatever it was. At the end of the day, he takes blame, players take blame, owners take blame, and it'll just continue until something folds.
Last question for you. Thursday. Yeah. Where do we go from here? Because in your mind, I know what went through your mind. Do I take the loss?
It's such a hard thing because if we beat City, it's like yippee, but then we're helping Arsenal out. If we lose, we're going to slip further down the table, but Arsenal will have something to fight for. You know, at the end of the day, I don't really care anymore what Arsenal do.
Yeah,
I've accepted the fact that they're better than us. They have a very good chance of winning the league. All I'm focused on now is what happens at our club. And for me, I wouldn't be surprised if we beat City somehow. That's just how
it'll be the Spursy thing to
work.
Do.
I mean, we did that last time. We lost to Burnley. We beat City, then lost to Burnley. So
yeah,
or whichever way it was around. Those 2 games came in quick succession. So look, Conte said he hopes Bentancur's back. I don't think Bentancur will be back. In my opinion, I feel like he'll still be out. And I just think for Conte now, it's sort of he has to make his decision. He has to make a decision now. He has to talk to the board or talk to Levy and talk to whoever he has to talk to tonight or tomorrow and go, look, are you going to back me in January and the summer? If they're like, oh, we'll try our best, and it's to go, yep, I'm out. See you later. Because there's no point of him being here. People can say, oh, he's here to get the paycheck, but do you really think a guy who's managed so many different clubs and being a player really needs money? I mean, he's got such big contracts from other things. He only cares about the project, right? He only cares about the vision. That's why he leaves clubs when they don't back him in the transfer market. So I think he has to make a decision just for our sanity and for other fans. Is he going to stay or is he going to go? Because if he goes and he walks out, I think that's probably the best case scenario for him because he leaves with his head held up high saying, you know, I got in the Champions League. They didn't back me. It's all on them.
Yep.
The board get exposed for not backing another world-class manager, and Conte can keep his hair. He won't lose that hairline. He'll get to go to another club, probably win trophies, continue his record, and push for being a top manager. And I think he'll do a lot of good for his own respect and for fans if he were to take the hike and walk. I'm not saying I'm Conte out, but I think it'd probably be best for all parties involved if he left. Because right now we're going to trundle along, we'll win the odd game, we'll play really difficult football to watch. We'll go this limbo between Levy out, Conte out, Poch in, Levy out, Conte in, yada yada. We'll sign 2 players on deadline day and fans will be happy again, and then it'll just be the same thing recycled. So I think at this point, in my humble opinion, the best thing for this club right now is if Conte just goes, I'm out of here. I tried. You have your fun. Good luck, and hopefully that triggers something in this fan base. But again, who knows? But it's going to be a long end to the season. I can tell you that much.
Hassan, thank you for your call today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No worries.
Especially the first one on to give us the therapy. But yeah,
big up.
See you later, guys.
See you later.
Take care, man.
Great call. But should we get on the next guest on? Should we just get rattle through them?
Yeah, just rattle through them. Yeah, go for it, man.
And our next guest on today is Michael. How are you? You're on mute,
Mr. Michael.
Come on.
There we go.
Yeah, we go. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, bro. Good. Nice one.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with those headphones. They just malfunction randomly. So yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. 2-0. Yeah. North London derby.
Where did it all go wrong?
How are you feeling?
Honestly, like I was shooting bricks before the game, and like that there was this part of me that believed, but deep down I knew that this is probably coming.
Yep.
So, you know, before the game even started, my girlfriend looked at me and she was like, what's up with you? Why are you so downbeat or whatever, right? And I was like, listen, I have faith. I will support the team, but I'm kind of like, I kind of know what will happen, right? And unfortunately it did. And you know, the thing is, I was kind of thinking, like, before you guys brought me in, right? If I should go absolutely ballistic, because I kind of feel like I should, because like that's the reaction I think we all should have after such a loss, right?
Yep.
But on the other hand, similar to us, and I'm at the point where, frankly, it's hard to give a fuck. Like,
I think we're all feeling like that at the moment, and that's the thing.
And I don't know which one is worse, right? Because if I got pissed, I like lashed out. You know, we all got mad, and you know, we put it all out there, and you know, maybe I would become then. But right now, deep inside me, I'm kind of like downbeat, and it's so hurtful because like if I compare it to last season when we were kind of doing well, right? If we lost, then I was pissed because I knew that we can play better and we can
Yeah.
act better, right? Instead, this time we just lost to our biggest rival at our own ground. And I know that there wasn't much we could have done about it. And like even worse is that I don't really think that Arsenal played that. Listen, they are brilliant, right? They played us off the park. What I mean that by didn't play that well is that they didn't even have to try that much.
Ash said something, yeah. Ash said something similar.
Yeah, and it's like you don't have to try much if the opposition goalkeeper just pushes the ball into his own net. And like seriously, like at the beginning of the season when Lloris was doing similar things, I was getting pissed. But today we just conceded that goal, and I was like
yeah,
shit happens, right? I kind of expected that, and you know, and it's like I put faith into those players. I put faith into the manager. I put faith into the fan base. I put faith into the board. And I'm being let down like pretty much every single step, right? And it's like,
is that not the life of a Spurs fan though? Is that not life of a Spurs fan? You constantly believe, and you're just constantly being let down by. If it's not the players, it'll be the board. If it's not the board, it'll be the manager. It's just we're just getting used to it now. And you make a great point there where you say that Arsenal didn't have to break out a second. Didn't break a sweat, and we've gifted them a goal from distance, and Lloris has made a howler. A North London derby, and when we're saying that they didn't break us down. So yeah, I could totally agree with you.
Actually, in my opinion, when I look at the game, right, I think that we kind of created good opportunities. They weren't like clear cut, 100% chances that you have to score, right? But they were good opportunities. And I feel like if we played with belief and with confidence, I think some of those would have ended up in the back of the net, right? And on the other hand, I think that Arsenal also created a lot of like dangerous situations, but I don't think that there were like any tap-in opportunities or whatever, right? Where somehow miraculously we didn't concede, right? The issue is that we, as you said, it's literally a goalkeeper howler and a shot from distance that, let's be honest, if we were on our feet and we were ready and we were focused, Odegaard shouldn't have the space to unleash such a shot, right?
Yeah, agreed.
And honestly, we were kind of lucky that Partey didn't score again. Like Madman is leashing out wordies, against us and not against anyone else. But it is what it is, right? So yeah, like I think that like players performances, a lot of players weren't on it today, in my opinion. And honestly, I think that's what hurts me the most, is that even if you know you are worse than your opposition, it's such an important thing for your fans that you should be on it. Just show me more passion. And I don't mean just clatter someone and get a red card and get sent off, right? What I mean is that like in the 80th minute we are 2-0 down and we are passing it around the back and trying to do something. Try something creative, try something risky. You are losing anyway, right? And I know it, like the counter argument to that is that they don't want to lose even more goals, right? But football is sometimes about taking risks. Football is sometimes about being brave and creative. And I feel like we are so rigid in this formation, and also I think that our defense, like I think like the biggest issue in our club is the defense and the goalkeeper, because like what we were good at last season was bringing the ball out of the defense quickly to Kane, Kane spinning with it, passing to Son running through on goal, right? The issue is that our defense is so low on confidence right now, and they are so, I guess, back to their level, that our
Agreed,
forward line, our forward line has to drop back to pick up the ball from them, because they cannot attempt to a long pass because all of them were lost. Right, we are losing every second ball. We are losing aerial duels. We are losing balls with like horrendous passes, and the issue is that then our front three has to come in to pick up the ball, but then there is no one to actually run onto those balls when they pick it up, right? Kane was receiving the ball in the middle of the pitch, and Son was closer to our goal than to their goal, right? It's not how the system is supposed to perform, but the system is reliant on center backs and wing backs providing like the width and the creative outlet for the forward line to actually attack, right? The issue is that we cannot do that with those players. And like, I'm sorry, I know plenty of callers will probably say that, but Lloris, thank you for your service. You were a brilliant like player for us, but I think it's time to move on. And Dyer, not really thank you for your service, but thank you. It's time to move on, right?
Yeah.
And a couple of other players. Sessegnon, I think he actually got into 2 or 3 good positions today, but the crosses were shambolic. I think that he got constantly skinned by Saka when he was defending, right?
Thank you.
Doherty, yeah, thank you for your service, right? Doherty, I actually think Doherty played well today, and Martinelli wasn't really that big of a threat on the left hand side.
Yeah.
But they clearly targeted Sessegnon on the right side of our pitch, right?
Correct.
Yep.
And you could see that, like, and with people, I am critical of Conte. I think that he didn't really prepare us tactically well enough to deal with what Arsenal are good at. And I also feel like when you are 2-0 down in a London derby, you have to be more proactive with your changes. And listen, again, the counter argument is, who is he supposed to bring in, right? Hill isn't like of the best quality, and Richarlison is coming back from an injury, and yada yada yada. But as I said, I think sometimes football is about taking risks, and I just feel like we didn't really give it a go in a sense today. And funny thing is that my girlfriend got me like a Christmas present from our shop. She bought me a scarf, and she brought me like this small figurine of Antonio Conte. And I'm actually kind of worried that we will soon have a manager change, and this figurine will not really be like will not be my talisman to look at in the games, right? But yeah, boys, I'm just sad, and like I expected more. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect us to win. I just expected more fight and more desire to actually win that game, even if it didn't manage to, right? But the fact that we lost 2-0 at our own ground, I think it's kind of pathetic, and yeah.
Quick
Basically
question,
that.
Michael. Sorry to interrupt you.
No
You're
worries,
the
mate.
manager. You're now, Conte's been sacked. You're the manager. You're playing Arsenal. You're at home. What changes do you? How do you set up? What do you do formation wise? What do you do different? What would you do?
I think the issue is that with the profile of players that we have, I kind of feel like there is not much to be done there. because I don't think that going to a 4 at the back and 3 in the midfield would solve our issues. Because, as I said, for me, the main issue of this team is the back line, and like Dyer with Romero in a back two, and for example Doherty and let's say Sessegnon as a left back and right back. This doesn't solve the issues that we had in this game, because like similarly you have to, like, one of the midfielders would have to provide cover for them. So in essence you kind of play, I don't want to say you kind of play a back five, but one of the midfielders has to help out. So like I honestly think this game was down to quality of the players, and I'm really sad to say that, because I feel like there are parts of the pitch where individually we actually have better players than Arsenal. It's just
Agreed.
that with the whole 11 we cannot utilize those players effectively, right? As I said, last season we could. We were using Kulusevski's, Son's, and Kane's strengths really well, and today with the squad that we currently have, I don't think there was much to be done. And listen, like, you could maybe do some damage limitation tactics and maybe try to shithouse a 0-0 draw or whatever, right? But then again, would our fans be satisfied with such performance? Probably not, right? You are a home side in a derby, so you kind of have to give it a go. So and also, like, I'm not really that good tactically, so I don't know. Maybe if we played a 4-3-3 and Bentancur was fit, and maybe Perisic had a game of his life on the left and didn't get skinned by Saka, right? If Perisic was playing, then maybe we could have probably done something. But I just think, personnel wise, we weren't up to it today, and we weren't of the players weren't of enough quality to actually win that game, in my opinion.
Quick question again, Mike.
That's really sad to say. Yeah.
You know, Spurs obviously in the window, or in general actually any window, we've said, like, you know, we don't have a lot of money available to buy the players that we need. Would you put Kane up for sale and reinvest that into the squad, or would you keep Kane and would you let his contract run out potentially and get him to leave on a free? Go.
It's a tough one for me, because, like, as most of us, I love Kane, I love Son.
Do you think he played well today as well? The front three, do you think they played well?
They were okay, in my opinion. It's just, again, I feel like it's hard for me to criticize Kane, Son, and Kulusevski when they have to play off their role and off their position to actually allow us to progress the ball, right? They should have been sitting way further up the pitch, and actually they should have relied on the backline to provide them the balls, right, and the midfield. But we couldn't, like, give them that. So, like, it's hard for me to criticize them. I feel like maybe all three of them lacked that, like, clinical edge in them. I think we lacked a bit of, like, calmness and composure when they were finishing. I feel like Son of last season would have buried that chance in the first half, and I feel like maybe Kane could have buried one of the chances that he had. Again, it was a hard shot. It wasn't like a clear-cut chance, so I'm not really critical of him that he didn't score it. But coming back to your original question about, like, putting them up for sale,
would you sell Son? I'll put Son in there as well.
I actually, I know, like, many people will give me stick for this, but I think actually if Son doesn't start performing, if Son keeps performing like this until the end of the season, I think I would put him up for sale. The issue is that if he keeps playing like that, will we get a good fee for him? I doubt it. He's a 30-year-old left winger who doesn't really put numbers in, and, you know, who lacks quality by his standard, right, this season so far. So for me, like, I would probably put him up for sale. And with Kane, I have a feeling that he will probably, if things don't change, and we don't pull our shit together, I feel like he will probably run his contract down and move to another English club next summer. But I wouldn't sell him if he doesn't want to leave, because I feel like he is the talisman of this team, and he's the our star boy or whatever, right? And I just can't say that I would sell him. Again, it's also hard for me to say the same thing with Son, right? It's so painful for me, but at least, you know, Kane isn't playing well this season, in my opinion, but he has fucking 15 goals in the Premier League, so you cannot really knock him for not doing his job, right? Whereas, again, I love Son. I want him to do well. I want him to perform. I am rooting for him. But if he ends this season with like 5 goals and 3 assists or whatever, that's not good enough. That's a left winger from like West Ham or whatever, right? A relegation team, right? So yeah, that would be my way of thinking. And with Conte, I have a feeling he won't leave, and I cannot back it with any reasonable arguments. It's just my hunch, and yeah, I think he won't leave. He will be here until summer, and there is a lot of things riding on this January window. I think that if we actually buy him some players, and it doesn't have to be like Bastoni and Hakimi or whatever, right? I think that if we just provide him the tools, I think that he will stay until the summer.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably get the same like story that we had last season, whether our club decides to back him or not, right? Because if you remember in June last season, it was pretty much the same thing. We didn't really know if he's going to stay or whatever, right? And then actually, like, some journalists reported that they had the talk, and, you know, they had some sort of a plan apparently, and he stayed, right? And also, like, I promise I will end like shortly, but I also subscribe to what. Yeah, I also subscribe to what Asan said. I feel like what we as fans want and what is not being provided by our club is some sort of a vision and a plan.
Yeah.
And also I want to back Asan in what he said, that if the club, whoever it is, like a spokesperson for a club, came out today in a week or whatever and told me that we are doing a project youth, we are going to, this is our target, this is the plan, those are the steps to go to reach the target. I, as a fan who I'm only a fan for 4 years, I'm up for it, right? I want this to happen. I would rather have a plan and a clear vision and know what to expect, rather than go chopping and changing and, you know, going from an attacking manager to defensive manager to win now manager to project manager. You know, it's too much. You don't know how to feel about this club, right? And I want us to have a vision, basically. And whether it's this guy who is the manager and we support him or not, or whether it is someone else, I don't really give a damn. But some things have to change. It's just it cannot go like this, because we will suffer. And seriously, if things keep going this way, and, you know, and Kane leaves eventually, and Son leaves eventually, and, you know, Kulusevski actually leaves because, like, he won't have anyone to play with, I think we might be in for a really, like, shocking and bad things. But I'm hopeful that it will not get to that. I am hopeful that we will actually do something positive for once, right? So yeah, like, I'm down a bit over the scoreline, but I'm honestly, I won't say that I didn't expect that.
Great call, Michael. Great call.
Big up.
Thanks for coming on. And as always,
big up, boys.
Yeah. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. We are smashing City on Thursday.
Thank you, Michael. So, we've got a super chat here from Nigel Gates. If Spurs want to make Europe next season, they need to spend some serious money in the window. I suspect we can kiss Europe goodbye. What's your thought on that?
I think going back to Michael's question, he basically just wants an upgrade in the back line, and we can push on. Obviously, yeah, we do need investment.
Yep.
Major surgery. Me personally, I said it before, I want a ball-playing midfielder because we've got too many of the same profile midfielders that when we play a ball in long to the front three and it doesn't stick, there's no plan B. That's all. Yeah. That's all. But I do, centre-backs are a given, I think, even though they didn't play too poorly today.
So let's bring out our next guest, a regular on We Are Tottenham TV. Dan, how you doing?
Just come back from the stadium.
Jeez! How was it, bro? How was
Before we start, you sent a controversial tweet out the other day about your home. You want to talk about that or not?
Wow. Listen, this trip has been my dream. To come watch a Tottenham game has been my dream for ages.
Yeah.
It was the best day of my life, and then when kickoff started, it began to become the worst day of my life.
Oh, jeez.
Do you coming here and watching the game today? Do you now finally feel like a truly fledged Spurs fan? Because that's how we all feel every week, whether we're there or we're watching it on TV.
Well, to be fair, I mean, waking up at 6 a.m. to watch a Tottenham game in the Premier League pretty much makes me feel like a full-fledged Tottenham fan. But this was an experience that I will remember, even though the result and the performance was absolutely dreadful.
So,
Damn.
How the game for you? You were obviously there. Where did it all start going wrong?
From the moment the ball got rolling, the first half was absolutely dreadful. But then when we got into the second half, it started to get better, and this is a continuing pattern that we've seen throughout the whole season. It's got to improve. We were not creating any chances in that first half. Arsenal had us in our box the whole game. It was very. It left a lot to be desired, and I think that second half was a lot better. But it's too late and too little.
So who are you blaming for today? Are you blaming players, Conte, Bald, everybody?
Well, for today, I think you have to blame the players, but throughout the whole failure of this football club throughout the last few years, it's got to be on the board. It has to be on the board. All these managers that have failed at this football club, and the common denominator you look at is that man at the top, and his name is Daniel Levy, and he needs to get out of this football club now. And I'm convinced that the biggest problem is that fans continue buying merchandise and continue funding his time at the club. If fans stop buying merchandise, if fans stop protesting the club, I think there could be a lot more unity in the fan base against Levy. There's only a few fans singing Levy out at the end of the game. The rest of them had Tottenham Hotspur shot bags in their hands. So it just tells you everything you need to know about the issues in this football club.
So, obviously, a mistake from Hugo, long-serving member of the club. Is it starting to become a bigger issue than our defence with our goalkeeper right now?
Man, I said it last summer. Hugo Lloris has to go. He's getting too old, and especially in this Conte system where you need a goalkeeper who's good on the ball, he's not good enough. His worst attribute is on the ball, and that's what you need as a goalkeeper. It doesn't make any sense. It seemed like every time in the stadium, the ball would go to him, every fan was about to get a cardiac arrest because he does not look confident on the ball. He does not. I'm sorry, he does not. And every first touch that he has is absolutely atrocious. Nketiah was famous last season for nicking the ball off goalkeepers and scoring type of goals like that. I was so worried every time I see the ball going to Hugo Lloris and Nketiah sprinting at him. And that's a big problem. Somebody that I would go for, a lot of controversy among Spurs fans on, is this guy good enough? I think Jordan Pickford is good enough. I honestly think that I would go for Jordan Pickford. He's a good goalkeeper, but at the same time, he's also great on the ball. I would go for Jordan Pickford, honestly.
So, a question on that. So, you basically said that Lloris is not good on the ball. So, why is Conte keep asking us to play with the ball at the back if we know Lloris is not good with it?
Well, this is Conte ball. But I don't think Conte should change the way that we play just because he's not going to get the players that he wants. I think he wants a goalkeeper. He's made it publicly that he wants a goalkeeper. It's not like he's going to get another goalkeeper. He's proven throughout Europe that he can win with this style of play. He shouldn't change it just because Tottenham Hotspur don't have the players to play that way.
But do you not think that if Lloris can't play that way, that you then you put yourself in a defensive situation where you're going to cause problems for yourself? Like today, Lloris in the first 10 minutes, as the ball's gone back to him, he's made the mistake. why, if if this is not the first time from Lloris, and like we've said, you've got to adjust your style. We're not asking him to adjust his formation. We're just asking him to adjust one part of the game that's costing us goals week in, week out. So he has to adjust something because he's being paid a lot of money here right now. So at the end of the day, you either play Forster if you want someone to play out from the back because he's not any better, or you don't play that way at all with your goalkeepers, because obviously what's going to happen is every single week we're going to be moaning at our goalkeepers for doing the exact same thing.
I disagree, though. I don't think he has to change the system. I think he's a proven manager. It's not that he's getting paid by the club, and after he gets sacked, he's not going to have somewhere else to go. There's jobs offered for him. He can leave if he wants to. He's shown that he can leave.
Yeah.
I don't think Antonio Conte, though being the winner that he is, should change his style of play just because Tottenham Hotspur don't have the players available. And we've had the opportunities. We've had countless transfer windows to go out and get a goalkeeper that plays the right way that Conte wants. Right now, the current one, we are now on the 15th of January.
Yep.
And we have not signed a single player. Look at Chelsea. They've signed like 5 players. Liverpool, they're struggling right now, but they've signed like 3 players. And we are struggling over a 5 million fee for Pedro Porro on a position
Dan. It's a smoke screen.
Mate, honestly, I cannot with the mentality in this fan base. And I've got a bit of an unpopular opinion now. Going to the stadium and seeing a lot of our fans, I think that...
What did you make of the atmosphere?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Before the game, I absolutely loved it. But once Arsenal went up, they started out singing us. And it was sad to watch.
That must have been horrible.
When in the second half, we started going back at it, it looked a lot better. It's nice to see that the only person in Tottenham Hotspur that wants to have passion on the pitch is that young kid that decided to kick the keeper in the ribs. He showed more passion than any of the other players and more fight. It was sad, and it was a depressing atmosphere. It was honestly a depressing atmosphere. The beginning was fantastic before kickoff, but then once Arsenal started rolling, you could tell that they were completely out-singing us.
Jeez.
And where do we go from here on Thursday? What does he do? Does he drop Lloris? Does he keep him?
No, you can't drop Lloris because Forster's not too far behind him. And I mean, when it comes to Lloris's age, which is a lot of things that people talk about when it comes to Lloris, he's growing in age. Forster's, I think, older than Lloris. It makes absolutely no sense. We have to go out and buy a goalkeeper to replace the one that we have because he's getting old. And what do? We sign a goalkeeper that's even older than the one that we have. It makes absolutely no sense.
But in the sense of, look, we've got these 2 goalkeepers. I'm just asking the question of, actually, Lloris has made massive mistakes this season. This is not the first. He's made 2 in a North London derby now. He's meant to be our captain. We can tell he's on semi-retirement. Forster came in against Brentford and didn't do a bad job. He played against Portsmouth. I know it's Portsmouth. Didn't do a bad job. Do you just go, actually, he needs to be taken out of the team for a while because it's mistake after mistake. It's becoming a regular occurrence. And as fans, if Lloris must be droppable at some point?
Yeah, he does, but I don't know. For Brentford, I didn't think he was that good, honestly. I think for Brentford, he wasn't. For the other games, yes, he was decent, but at the same time, we've seen more of Hugo Lloris, so we're more confident, and we've seen more of him to give him the starting role. So
yeah.
I understand why he's starting. He's more experienced and everything, especially for a game like this in the North London derby. That's why it was really surprising for me to see Pablo Matasar starting. But I've got a bit of unpopular opinion here, and I think that, in my opinion, I think Son needs to go. Not because he's been. And listen, but for me, it's not much of an opinion because I think you see Cristiano Ronaldo, when clubs sign him, the shirt sales that come with Cristiano Ronaldo, absolutely insane. Son Heung-min carries that same thing on his back. But the thing is that for us right now, in the moment that we're in and where we want to go, we want to get rid of our owners. And if they continue to get money, they're not going to sell. So I think the amount of shirt sales that we have throughout a whole year come from Son Heung-min's. A lot of Korean fans come over to see Son, and you can see it throughout the whole stadium. There's a lot of support from him, and he's a great player. I absolutely love him, and I understand why they support him so much. But at the moment, we really don't want a lot of money going to the club, and that's what you're going to get from Heung-min Son. It's good at sometimes, but when you've got this ownership and you're trying to get them out, it really doesn't help the cause. So I don't think he's the biggest problem at the squad, even though he's been playing poorly recently. But I think there's definitely bigger problems in the squad. But I think if we want Levy out, one of the first things we have to do is Son Heung-min have to go.
Is Richarlison good enough for you, Dan? Richarlison's come in the squad. He's 60 million. He came on today. Is he the answer if Son's not performing? What do you make of him?
I don't think we can really judge Richarlison off of this performance. I think throughout the whole season, yes, he's left a little bit desired in terms of goal scoring, but I've liked what I've seen from him when he has played. I don't think that the price tag would have been justified, but I think at the same time, you can't put that on Richarlison because he's not the one that decides his price tag. So I think that Richarlison, as a backup striker to Harry Kane, he's a fantastic backup striker. And I think if you look throughout Europe and you look throughout teams in England, you won't find a better backup striker than Richarlison. The problem is that we buy a striker and we play him on the right. We buy a striker and we play him on the left. And then we want to try and judge him. That's just the football club that we are. We buy players and then we put them out of position. It makes absolutely no sense. I never understand why we do this. I absolutely never understand why we do this.
Whose fault is that then? Whose fault is that we play players out of the position?
Well, it has to do with squad depth at the same time, because if we had a capable backup to Kulusevski, a capable backup to Heung-min Son, then he wouldn't have to play in those positions. So I would say Daniel Levy, because he doesn't go out and buy a backup to those players.
But does Conte, with Richarlison, Conte said yes, that he'd want him because he could cover 3 positions. So at the end of the day, did Conte not want Richarlison, or when he's come out and said the reason why he's coming and got it, because you say he's not, you have to, I get Daniel Levy gets the money, but he just spent 60 million on Richarlison. Could he have not spent it elsewhere on better backups if Richarlison's not going to be the greatest backup in those 3 positions? Because Conte's had to say yes at some point through that conversation. 60 million is a lot of outlay for him for the club not to go to Conte and go, here's Richarlison, do you want him?
Yeah, I to be honest, that signing really did confuse me, because at the moment I thought we were going to get him very cheap since Everton were in the whole financial scandal.
Yep.
So it did surprise me that we bought him for so much. Obviously, as I said before, his price tag is not justified, but he doesn't decide his price tag, so you can't put that on Richarlison. No. If you want to put it on anybody, put it on the board, because he's the one that Daniel Levy's the one that decided to pay that much. But I don't think Richarlison is, as I said before, as in his role, I think he's a great player. I think as a backup striker, you won't find a better backup striker than Richarlison. The problem is, yes, he can play right wing. Yes, he can play left wing. Yes, he can play striker. So he can play throughout the whole 3, but not every game. I'm seeing him now every single game on the right. Before he joined Tottenham, the position that he played the least amount in his whole career was right wing. And he's played most games at Tottenham Hotspur at right wing. It makes no sense.
That's the question you have to ask the manager, so why he's putting him out there. And that's the thing. You have to ask Conte in that situation why you know he's not playing. He's not played well on the right at all since he's been at us. But why are you constantly trying to play him on the right? And that's the question you have to go. Conte is the person who's putting him out there. There's no one else. No one else is making that decision for him.
Yeah, Conte has. Every manager makes mistakes. I think that's one of the mistakes that he's made in not playing him in the left or even playing him as striker, because he hasn't rested Kane a lot. He has not rested Kane that much. But at the same time, Richarlison has been injured a lot, so we've still got.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And to be fair, if you look at Richarlison's performances in the World Cup, they were all central, and we all looked at him and went, "Oh my God, we've got a striker." Yeah. But he's just never played central for Spurs.
And the funniest part is that people wonder why he's playing so good for Brazil and not for Spurs.
Yeah.
Is it the players that are around us then? Is it the players?
No, it's you got to look at it, and I'm taking what Dan is saying is, look, if Richarlison's better as a striker,
yeah.
So Richarlison's never played there, so you can't judge a player who hasn't played in his natural position, and that's.
No, I hear what you're saying, but
at least to give us the highlight of the game. At least to give us the highlight of the game.
Yeah, true. I just think none of the front 3 were on par today. I mean, no one's really come out and blasted the front 3, but I just think the front 3 was
good. Kulusevski was amazing.
I just felt like end product wise, we were lacking. To me,
there's a couple of these crosses didn't hit the final. They weren't.
There wasn't that many shots on target. There was loads of passes miscued.
He was a bright light.
Lost possession a lot in the first half.
He was, but he wasn't.
Kulusevski was a bright light in the dark tunnel. I think that
it was more second half than the first, because first half he was non-existent.
He was a bit rusty. I feel it was a bit off it on the first half, if I'm being honest.
I felt in the first half, it was very hard for him because we were very defensive. So when he would get the ball, I think what he did with it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't get the ball that much, so that's why it looked like he was a little bit non-existent. Same goes for Harry Kane. When he did get chances, he did do well with them. I think Aaron Ramsdale was fantastic for Arsenal. If not for him, I think they would have conceded at least 2. So at the end of the day, I think what made the difference today was actually the goalkeepers, because Lloris was not on it and Ramsdale was, and we had a few chances. I don't think the amount of big chances was that different between us and Arsenal. I think
That wasn't.
very,
You're
very
right.
even.
Yeah, you're correct.
So I think it just falls on the goalkeeper, and Ramsdale carried Arsenal through that second half, I think.
But quick one, Dan. Just if you take Kane out of Tottenham, what do you have?
You have a team without anything positive other than Kulusevski, because Harry Kane is where you put the ball to and you'll put it in the back of the net. I wouldn't be as confident having Richarlison as our starting striker as I would for having Harry Kane. Don't get me wrong, I love Richarlison, but Harry Kane's just different gravy. If you put the ball in the box, he'll find a way to put it in the back of the net. I know today he didn't, but Harry Kane is a bright light in a dark tunnel again, like Kulusevski is. And there's not many of these players at this club. But at the same time, I don't think if you sack Conte, I don't think he'd be playing to his level. I think he'd just be downplaying like he was under Nuno Espirito Santos, where he doesn't believe in the plan. And it looked very, very bad. It looked extremely, extremely poor. So I think for me, we have to give a plan to Harry Kane if we want him to be at his best at Tottenham for longer. If not, if we don't give him a plan and we just sack Conte and we go and get a manager for a process, he's going to want to leave. And you're going to have this team where you're going to have maybe you could get – but the problem for me is with Harry Kane, if he leaves, and a lot of people say, well, then you could rebuild. That worries me even more because these owners, they don't know what to do rightly with money.
Dan,
you give them
I
100 million.
couldn't agree with you so much in that one sentence just there. That's where I totally agree with you.
Yeah, cause it's like playing career mode, and then you sell one player to try and rebuild your whole squad, but you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They're going to go out and buy some random youngster from Spain, and they're going to go out and buy some terrible replacement for Harry Kane. It's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be good enough. That's what worries me the most. If we had competent owners, then yeah, sure, go out and rebuild the whole squad. But we've got Daniel Levy in charge.
We just
He's
have to
not
look
gonna
at
get
Bell.
anyone.
Bell money will always
Exactly.
be where we were, and that was a rebuild situation.
100%. That Bell money just symbolizes what would happen if we try and do rebuild with the Harry Kane money.
Dan, enjoy London. Apart from the
does.
result,
I'm leaving
I
tomorrow,
hope
so I won't be
you've
enjoying much.
had a good time and it's been brilliant for you.
Go
and
check
had
out
such a
London
great
Eye, Madame
experience.
Tussauds.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. You've been absolutely great, cool. And always come on you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs, bro.
Come on, you Spurs.
Great, cool. Should we rattle through them?
Yeah, let's get through it, man. Come on.
Let's bring on the next guest.
Yeah.
Josh, how are you doing?
Wrong call, wrong station.
You.
Yes,
come on.
yes, lads, what's going on, man?
Man, like Josh, you know. What?
I need some therapy, boys. I need some therapy, man. Help me out, man. I'm
we're all
down.
hoping for therapy from you.
Yeah, we're expecting it from you.
Yeah,
Come on.
bro. We need to have a session, man.
Oh, you got each other, man. I'm on my own, man. I had to watch that with a gooner, man. It was difficult, mate.
Oh,
Well,
man.
there's your first problem.
Man, I had hope, man. I went with the 2-2. I went with the heart, and
Where
I
did we
sat
go
there.
wrong, Josh? Josh, where did it all go wrong?
Where
Quick,
did we
talk to
go
me.
wrong, man? Oh, mate, how long you got, man? How long's this show gonna come, mate? You boys want to go home at 9, don't you? You got 20 minutes, man. Where did it go wrong, mate? That is the $1 million question, isn't it, mate? That is the $1 million question. Look. First, I'm going to say this, and I hate to say this, but they're a very good team, right? Let's remember who we played today. Now,
Did they play well like that? Did they? I don't know. Did they really play well? Did you think like Arsenal played off the park?
They didn't play us off the park, but they also didn't get out of third gear, if you ask me. They just turned up,
Yeah, correct.
put a third gear performance in, and we
They hit
lost.
our weaknesses. Yeah, they hit our weaknesses, didn't
That's
they?
it, man.
That's the difference.
We're easy to play against, lads. We're not exactly hard to play against. Everyone scores against us in the first half.
Yeah, that's true.
Palace would have done it if it wasn't for Hugo then. And I know Hugo's a bit of an idiot for today, but, obviously Palace, we got a little bit away with it. We rode our luck, a couple of square passes there and they would have gone 1-0 up. Today, we went back to original Spurs, which is weak at the back. Bits some moments here or there. Sonny had that chance. But really, is Sonny going to score from there? Probably not. Most keepers say that. Yeah. And then what do we have? Like, if you ask me about chances right now, I'm just looking at it thinking, what chances really, man? Like, when did Ramsdale get his gloves dirty at any real point?
Probably more in the second half where he faced probably more shots. But even then, they weren't shots that you don't expect to go in. Yeah.
Yeah, the left foot save. Yeah, he saved that. That was a good quality save. I give that to him. That was a good save. And sometimes those ones you can still catch him, but they go in.
Yeah.
So well done to him on that. And I know you got man of the match on Sky, but we didn't really give them anything, lads. We didn't really give them anything, and it's worrying. It's seriously worrying that in the North London derby, the players look lost. We look like the away team. In that first half, I felt like I felt like the away fan. I was sitting next to this, one of my best mates, Arsenal fan, and I was like, "Look at this, man! I've only seen the half in which we defend. I've not even seen Ramsdale. I couldn't see him. I was like, where is he? Is he on the pitch?
Half was non-existent, correct.
Everything was to the right, lads, because I was watching it on the TV and everything was to the right, man. I was like, what is going on? And then obviously we let the goals in. Hugo, that's not Conte's fault. That's no one's fault. You can't blame Conte for what Hugo did. That's one of those situations where, Conte's come out, he's backed his captain, but really inside he's just as frustrated as us guys.
Hey, what did he say afterwards? Did he back Lloris after that mistake?
Said Lloris was world class. It's a team effort. We can't just isolate Lloris here and just hang him out to dry. He's going to say that.
We can with his mistakes. We've got
He's
statistics here.
He's got to say that on camera, man. Yeah, he's going to see him in the car park on Tuesday, man. You know what I mean? It's going to be a difficult conversation if he puts him out to dry. So we all know what Conte's saying. Conte's basically saying, oh yeah, my captain, but really, obviously, you can't. Nobody can attack Conte for that. Maybe the formation needs to change, guys.
So maybe we need Conte to. Then, do you blame Conte for that? Being too rigid, too stubborn in his formation, in his tactics.
What I would say is this: Conte likes this formation. We know this is where he's won in Italy, in England with Chelsea. We know it works for him, and yes, we need that vision, and we need to build into that system, which is his A game, which is what he loves to use. Wherever he's been, that's how he's won titles, and that's what he likes to do. He's like the wing backs, the three at the back, and the two in the middle, etc. But at the moment, halfway through the season, when we can still get top four, where we know we're letting in goals every game in the first half, where we know we've got problems at the back with one of the worst defensive records in the Premier League, but we're still sitting in fifth because other teams like Liverpool and Chelsea haven't caught up. We've still got an opportunity maybe to change this system on a temporary basis halfway through a game or when we need to shock the opposition and maybe experiment with that against some of these weaker sides and go 4 at the back. I mean, I'm just thinking of great managers that change their system halfway through a season.
But didn't Conte change it? Didn't he change it to a 4-2-4? In this game against Arsenal, didn't we go to a 4-2-4? But 4 at the back, with 2 in the middle and 4 up top.
Bro, you know what? This game, yeah, we started it bad. We can't keep starting games like this. I'm saying we start it like the next game. Who's next? Man City, right? He's probably gonna go with a 3. He's gonna go 4-3 for the rest of the season. We know he's gonna do that. But I'm just wondering if the personnel's not gonna fit what he's trying to do, and we're gonna fix it in January because we're gonna need a lot of £1 million. Do we start looking at a 4 at the back?
What positions do we need in January, not summer? Because everyone says defenders, but realistically, what can change our season between now and then in January? Right wing back.
We need a right wing back, 100%. Because Emerson's not giving us competition. He's a right back. He would work in a 4. Doherty lasts about 60 minutes, and he's kind of huffing and puffing. He's not giving us what we really need on that right hand side. Perisic only lasts 60 minutes. Sessegnon's a project that might never happen, and constantly pulls up with hammies. It's a bit of a mess on the left and the right. It's a plane with no wings, so it's like just too much. Like there's too much. Like if one side works well, the other side doesn't, and it's like it's not the system. It's not the personnel's not there. So unless Levy's going to put down the money and we're going to buy the players, like we're going to buy Porro tomorrow, and we fix that right, then I wonder if Conte has to go 4 at the back, and we basically protect the back more now by just having a straight flat 4. Yes, the right back and left back push up, efficiently, not crazy. And then you have your Perisic, your Doherty, your Emerson right back, because he's probably a better right back than a right wing back. Your 2 midfielders, and then Son and Kane, and go for a 2 up front, and maybe that opens up the space for Son and Kane and get Kane more involved in the game and drop back a bit. Maybe Conte. Lads, I don't think.
All right, if we went back 4, sorry to interrupt you, bro. If we do have a back 4, do those 2 goals still go in?
well, Lloris's goal goes in a back 10 because you know what I mean. Like you can't. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the goals today. Not necessarily today.
In general.
I'm talking about starting games. I'm talking about starting games the way we start games, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Because what keeps happening, and it'll probably happen at City, and it'll probably happen with Chelsea. Yeah, we're going to have these shitty first halves. Now, someone needs to realize why we're not playing well in the first half. Is it purely down to the players being shit, or is it down to motivation, coaching, personnel being in wrong positions, potentially weak players playing in positions where they need to be better? Do we need to change this whole thing up? Because the way I'm looking at it, where do we keep going with these first halves? Do we just keep taking them and accepting that the first halves are shit? Or do we now make a wholesale change in this team? Because we ain't going to get that 200 million. We ain't even going to get 100 million by the looks of it. Maybe even not 40 mil. So does Conte need to just reinvent the wheel? Because I can't see this working, lads. We go out there and teams have worked us out.
Quick question.
You know, every team.
Quick question on the 4 though. If you look at the players that you're expecting to play the 4, are most of them players not here from Nuno? And again, they had the same problems in a 4 as they are having with a 3. So are you expecting anything different? The only difference from Nuno to Conte now, all right, admittedly we've got Perisic and all them summer guys, but they're not starting. But you're looking at our back 4. Real was here for Nuno. Romero was here for Nuno. Dyer was here for Nuno. Davis was here for Nuno. And so was Cess. And yet, again, the 4, they were still making the same mistake. So are you not? What are you expecting to change from going from a 3 to a 4?
Bro, at the moment, the only way is more up than it is down because it's so bad. We aren't really going anywhere at the moment. We're just stagnant and we're just waiting for others to catch up now. So for me, it's like this ain't working. If we don't get the money and the personnel, do we now put Emerson where he belongs and put Doherty in front of him for a bit of cover, or Cooley in front of him on the right? Do we keep those two in the middle that play well together? We have had injuries, so let's not be too harsh on Conte because without Romero, so Liverpool and Chelsea, they can complain the same way we can with injuries. Arsenal haven't had many injuries. But if you look at, like, obviously, Kulusevski, super important, showed that today. If you look at, obviously, Bentancur, super important, right? So these two players, right, we've been unlucky. And then, obviously, Richarlison as well, nothing off the bench. So hopefully now we can, like, well, look, if we start performing, if we carry on performing the way we're performing with all our players available, then it's more worse than we already think it is because then we've got the players, right? So now I'm looking at it and I'm just praying that these players don't get injured now and we can go on a little run and pick up some points, hopefully, right? Because we've got Kulusevski back and, you know, he made a difference today. But I'm also looking at this system and I'm just wondering if these 3 at the back just keep getting exposed. They just keep getting exposed. Yeah, man. I'll say AC Milan are going to destroy us, man. I'm telling you.
He spoke about personnel and I noticed that with Arsenal's formation, the 4-3-3, they have a player in Odegaard that we don't have in an attacking sense in midfield. I noticed that they have 3 in the middle and we have 2. And in R2 we have,
but they have you got to include in that they have a Thomas Partey who's. And
I was getting there.
And then you have you have a combination of Saliba and Gabriel.
And I was getting there
which
too.
Which is like Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld of our day.
I was getting there.
We don't have that.
They're basically peak Poch.
Yeah.
Peak Poch right now. That's what Arsenal we're looking at. So I was going to ask you, like, would you take something like an attacking midfielder, a playmaker in that position? Because Kane's having to drop into that hole quite a lot, and teams are figuring it out. And wouldn't it be nice if Kane could push up and we had someone that could, like, be in that hole and provide that kind of creativity?
See, for me, Kane is our KDB. He's our Kevin De Bruyne, right? And player for player, there's no one in our team that can do what Harry Kane can do when it comes to creativity in that position. Right, he knows what strikers want. He can score from distance. He can get involved. Obviously, we know he can score from being up top, and we know he can get involved in behind. When you look at Crystal Palace and you look at Kane's heat map, he was right down towards midfield, and he was dictating play. If you remember that game, him and Brian Hill, they were dictating play. Kane was involved in a lot of those moves. So, are we using our best pawn to its most effective position? Because Kane up top with that service, it's difficult unless he scores a worldie. That header came into that was a difficult one. If he's not getting service, we've got to say, all right, then we haven't got the creative players like you said, the Modric's and the Ericssons to feed someone like Kane, and we've got to reshuffle this pack because we've got to find a way to win. There's no point going out there and crying. We've still got to win. We've still got to beat the teams below us. Fair
This is
enough,
it.
losing to Arsenal, it's difficult, it hurts, but they're playing better than us, and you can argue they've got a better first 11. But moving forward now, Harry Kane needs to be deployed in that hole. If you ask me, my opinion is when he drops back, it starts ticking. Sonny can make runs, Kulu can make runs, Richarlison can play up top as well now. So Conte needs to experiment a bit more. If we just keep going with this same format, this same just template, opposition managers know how to hurt us. The three at the back ain't really working. I'm not blaming Conte. Personnel's a problem. But if personnel's a problem and it's not going to fall out the sky, then you've got to change up the template. We've got to go back to the drawing board and say, do you know what? We've got to find a way to win. Ugly or pretty, we've got to find a way to win. And for me, at the moment, we're too predictable. And the first halves keep showing that. And Conte knows that. And Conte can't blame players if he's just going to stick with this for the rest of the season. We're just hoping it's going to work. But we know it's not working, man. Newcastle beat us. Arsenal, everyone's beat us. That's everyone above us has beat us, man. I mean, when did we last beat a top 6 team? I mean, I've gone blank when we last even beat a top 6 team. Yet we want to be a top four challenger. So something's got to change drastically, guys. Levy's not going to leave tomorrow. Levy's not going to suddenly give us 150 million. It's just not going to happen, man. So it's down to Conte now to somehow switch it up, guys. And if Conte gives up, then we're in real shit, because then really we're just back to the whole thing of anyone else want to have a go. So for me, honestly, Conte experiment. I'd rather lose a game or two with him experimenting and trying something different and keeping the opposition on their toes and keep going with the same format. But maybe I'm being negative as well because we've had injuries, and maybe like this system will work now with Kulu back, with obviously Bentancur hopefully back and Richarlison off the bench or whatever. But it's not working is what I'm saying, and everyone knows that. I don't need to say that. But I just want to see some change, man. I'm getting a bit fed up of seeing the same stuff. But we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Was that good therapy for you?
I think I feel worse. But anyways, man. Listen, lads, keep it going, man. You got 20 minutes, man. All good, lads. Keep it going, man.
Nah, Josh,
nice one,
thank
bro.
you for your call.
Nice one,
Been
Josh.
absolutely brilliant. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Got a super chat from Jory here. Dear Conte, nobody wants a reasonable, patient Conte. Call out Enoch BS and the fraud players. The demand is for immediate progression, and that's why you are here. Hashtag Levy out. Is that and hashtag Conte in.
Interesting.
So interesting. Let's bring out our next guest.
Georgie.
George.
Yes,
how are you?
George.
I've been better, guys.
Yeah, of course. I can imagine.
Go
I can
on, you
imagine.
explain to us where it's all gone wrong today.
What happened, George? Who's that?
Facetiously
Who's that for?
speaking, about 20 years ago, that's probably where it went wrong. Look, it's a facetious comment. I sort of echo some of Josh's sentiments towards the end of what he was saying, that I think we've got to come to terms with something. And this was the Ben and Sim were mentioning towards the tail end of last season, can we make top 4 to everybody? It was sort of the thing towards the end of the season. And each time I was coming on, I was always saying, look, it's going to take a huge capitulation from Arsenal and United in order for us to do it, which is what happened.
Yep.
And each and every time I was coming on, I was saying, look, we cannot deny the quality that Arsenal have in their team. I think to deny the quality in their side, I think, you know, we're going to be slightly delusional. It's difficult for us to say, but the reality is that all over that park today, I was at the game, and it was, you could tell the quality was now beginning to come through as a result of the investment that Arsenal had made in the squad in the correct areas, and B, investing with the manager. So the club itself was a team away from the team, which is what you look. It's not rocket science. It's what you need. It's the formula that you need in order to succeed as any football club. Now, our expectation here is that we are going to challenge Arsenal, United, Manchester City, keeping a spine of a team that has been there for really at least the last 8 years. So if we look at it generally speaking, our team is Harry Kane, Eric Dyer, Benny Davis, Hugo Lloris. I mean, look, we're reeling some of these names off from the time of Poch. We've got a situation now, right, where we have got Harry Kane is 29 years old. We've got a situation where Sonny is 30 years old. We spent 2 years pretending that we could not invest in the team because we were building a new stadium. Now, this is coming from the owners, not from me or the support base. We all bought into it. Yeah, we want to be successful. We could see a light at the end of the tunnel with some of the performances that we were putting in with that Poch team. Yeah, with the Poch team. We don't invest in the manager, so we blame the manager. Okay, we'll sack the manager. Let's sack Poch. Okay, we've done that. We bring in Mourinho, the serial winner. So we bring in Mourinho, the serial winner, and then ultimately we sack him. And look, I don't have to keep going on over this. We already know it. Through all this, the background that's going on, we are losing our identity on the field. We cannot keep chopping and changing managers and then expecting our sides to instantly click into a new system, into a new philosophy, into a new backroom staff. We're talking about huge, huge changes here for any football club. As soon as you lose a manager, you're going to lose his backroom staff. Okay, and we've done that so consistently that it's almost like we keep hitting the self-destruct button. Either we're going to end up with a manager that we can say, we're going to invest in you, we are happy with you, go on and create your team. Or we will constantly be saying, it's the manager's fault, let's sack him. It's the formation's fault, he's got an issue with it. It's the same story. Now, if you looked at Arsenal today, and again, I don't want to make direct comparisons, but the way that they operated was closing us down in our half, so much so that you guys didn't see it on TV. Ramsdale, for a lot of that time, was halfway up the pitch, practically. You may not have seen it, but they closed us down so much.
Yeah.
They defended as a unit, they attacked as a unit. The chances that we had, I mean, look, let's be honest here, there were half chances, they weren't struck properly. Kulu had a few outside, that he was hitting them, but without much conviction, without much confidence that they were actually going to go in. It was almost as though we were putting the ball in there for the sake of putting it in there, because we really didn't know what else we were going to do. And it was a team that did not have identity, that lacked its identity. The only way that that identity is going to grow is over a couple of seasons of consistent work with a manager who is a good manager and who is going to be invested in the same way that Liverpool did it, in the same way that Arsenal have done it. It's not a difficult philosophy to follow. Manchester City did it. And again, I'm not trying to, again, that's not a fair comparison, because yes, Manchester City are a different beast, but we have already lost a lot of momentum with this. Newcastle are going to be a force to be reckoned with now. Yeah, we've got Man United, who have now reinvented themselves under Ten Hag and who are playing fantastic football. We have lost so much time over all of this that my fear is that we're going to really struggle to catch up and maintain any sort of presence in the top four. And if that damage has been done, then Conte isn't going to hang around, unfortunately. And if he doesn't hang around, Kane doesn't sign a new contract. And you can't replace a player like Harry Kane overnight. And it's a very, very difficult situation. I wish I could come on here and say to you, look, I could see positives today. There was some positives. We started well at the beginning of the game. But really, if we are honest with ourselves, the difference in the teams today was that identity, the identity and the ability to work as a unit in order to get that ball at the back of the net, however it goes in the back of the net, whether it's Lloris deciding to go rogue, or whether it's, you know, a shot outside the box. Somehow or other, you've got to get the ball at the back of the net. They created more chances. They hit the post. I never got the feeling when I was there that we were creating anything of any real sophistication that was going to put Arsenal into trouble. So creativity.
Why is that? Why is that? Why is there a lack of creativity? Why are we not being able to create chances? Why do you think that is? I know you said it was an identity thing. We have got a style of play issue at here, a culture thing at the moment. But like, what do you think needs to, moving forward? What do you think needs to change? We're in the January window right now. Obviously, summer's coming. What would you like to see different, George?
Well, the recruitment needs to pinpoint exactly where things are going wrong, and I mean, us as supporters, we see it. I don't think there's any news here that we need a right back. I would say, I mean, if I was to prioritise things, I would say a creative midfielder. I was saying it from last season that I would prioritise that over a right back, simply because if you have a creative midfielder who is able to attack, it gives the other team something to think about as opposed to moving forward. So that you're less likely to try and put, to try and probe into the opposition half, if you know that if you lose the ball, you've got an issue. So I would rather have a creative midfielder there first. And again, it was something that was sadly lacking today, the work rate in the centre of the park. I don't want to blame Sarr, because I think that really he played well. For his age, and to be thrown into a game like that, I thought that it was a very good performance. But again, he's not going to want to express himself in the way that he probably can, because of the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. And it was immense if you think about it in a game of that magnitude. So yeah, I would probably say that what we need is a creative midfielder straight away. And I think, again, from what I've seen with Conte or Paratici putting his sort of toes in the pool, if you like, in the water, they've been looking around those sorts of players. Whether ultimately we get one that's worth their salt is another matter.
Do you think if Bentancur is playing, is it a different outcome? Because he's like maybe out of the 3 or 4 midfielders we have in that central position, that double pivot role, he's probably one of the most, I'd say, creative or attacking, would you say, midfielder? Do you think we missed him at all in terms of creativity, or helping the front three?
Yeah, look, Bentancur is quality. He's definitely someone who is able to do the simple things very, very well. Put those passes in, put himself into space. I wouldn't call him the most creative or the most attack-minded midfielder, but he's able to link play better than anybody else that we've got. Whether it changes the outcome, I don't know. I don't think so, honestly speaking. I mean, the quality, as I said, Saka was going through Sessegnon like he was butter today. The quality was there to be seen. It was very, very difficult to see, as I said, where there was going to be a goal coming from today from Tottenham. But as I said, I think if we get caught any further back at the moment, it's going to be devastating for the club, with the way that the momentum has now swung. Look, we haven't even begun talking about Chelsea and Liverpool yet. These are very, very rich clubs who are able to put a lot of funds very quickly and get a lot of players very quickly, and that, trust me, that they will be far higher up that sort of perfect club for a player than we will. Now, if we don't make Champions League this season, which at the moment that is definitely likely, what other players are we really going to be attracting? Are we going to end up in the mire that we were in the 90s, the early 2000s? It's a scary outlook at the moment on what I saw today.
To be fair, George, for something you just said there about who we're going to attract, say we finished 5th, we finished 4th this year, got Champions League. Did we attract anything more than we normally would get anyway?
Basuma came for Champions League, so does Perisic. Perisic came for Champions League.
I don't think
he would have come.
But we can still get them players without Champions League.
I don't think he would have come if we didn't get Champions League. Perisic.
Who we get? Yeah, I mean, look, those are 3 players: Richarlison, Perisic. I don't
even
think
Longley. Even Longley might have struggled to come.
But what my point is that Richarlison, we should be able to sign if we're in Champions League or not. Basuma was at Brighton, another player. I know he came for Champions League football, but it's not guaranteed with Spurs that we're going to finish there every season. So another player that we could have got without Champions League football. And I say we didn't sign anybody of note in the summer to go, that person.
I think if we had a different board, it would be different.
And that's my question is, actually, if we got Europa League football, does it make any difference to our transfer plans? Because we didn't really sign anybody in the summer that was, would only come for Champions League.
I'm with George. Like, I'm all for the attacking mid.
But you look at like Chelsea. You look at Liverpool and Chelsea and the guys they signed.
They've got history. They've got history. Not history, but they've got.
But if they're in the Champions League, they are signing Champions League quality players. Where I think this summer we didn't sign anybody that you went, actually, he's a Champions League quality player, and that's what he's come for. With Basuma and
I know we're buying
Perisic, I'll give you.
Moving down and coming
but
up.
Perisic again, he's at an age where.
Yeah.
Could we have not signed him?
If we look at those players,
that's my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at those players individually, Bissouma, I think he did come because of Champions League football. Don't forget,
Correct.
Arsenal were in for him for a long while. Arsenal were trying to track Bissouma for quite a while. Richarlison, do we get Richarlison without Champions League football? I can't see it.
Why not? Because he's gone and played for Everton and Watford. Why?
That was his dream. You saw when he scored.
I know, but I get that. But he's not been at clubs to go. Which other team in the Champions League were really going to go for Richarlison?
Exactly. I mean, that's the frightening thing. If there were other teams, let's say, if Manchester United had gone in for Richarlison at that point in time, okay. They had a lot of internal turmoil, but as Ash says,
I think he goes Man United.
There's a lot of history with Chelsea, Manchester United, and I would even say Arsenal of being up in those heights rather than Tottenham. So Tottenham are not a huge name internationally, unfortunately, anymore as a result of our absence through Europe. We're starting to build it up again. But okay, why did they come to Tottenham? Was it just for a pay packet? Well, we don't exactly pay the best salaries in the world, so there must have been something that attracted them. So
I reckon they came for Conte. That's probably more what they probably looked at Conte and went.
I think it's a mixture of both.
But I don't think we get the manager like Conte without Champions League. Like if we don't get it this year, I think he goes. But I just think the signings we made in the summer, I think are not Champions League quality players that we go, actually, he would go to a Champions League side and fit in. Richarlison, never been at a Champions League side. Basuma, never been at a Champions League side. Why couldn't we sign them without Champions League is my question. Why couldn't, and that's what I'm getting at. And even if we made Europa League, we still make Europa League signings.
I just think that the type of player, sorry to cut you, George, the type of player we need to push on needs to be of that level. But
we need to go better than that level because we're starting to see now the struggle.
I agree. I think we can all agree on that. We can all agree on that.
We can all agree. But
the difference is, what me and George are saying is, we don't think we as a club could attract the top.
We're not attracting top players anymore.
The top players.
But that's my question. We got to Champions League. Which top player did we attract?
I just think personally, it comes down to the board. To me, it comes down to how much the board are willing to spend. So it's nothing to do with Conte, because Conte. Remember when we got beat by Man United, he was like, Anthony, they're spending 80 million. We're not prepared to do that type of business.
Exactly, but that's the problem. Like Man United have gone out and spent 80 million on Anthony. They spent all that on Casemiro. They're Champions League.
You're not buying a
players.
Casemiro. We're not buying a Casemiro from Real
If we were in the
Madrid.
Champions League, why are we not signing them? And that's my point.
We're not signing the top tier players from Real Madrid.
Fifth or sixth,
we're buying
what's the
rejects
difference-
from Barcelona.
Yeah, but what's the difference going to be between our signings when we finish in Champions League and when we don't? They're exactly the same. It's the same philosophy that the board are playing. They want young talent to come in because we signed Bentancur and Kulu, right, without Champions League football. So, but we didn't know the quality when they came. So the question is, because if we finish fifth or sixth, the policy's not changed within the board. They're signing young, talented players. But you the players we signed in the summer, I don't think they're not at Casemiro's level. They're not at Anthony's level. They're better players, and they should be coming to Spurs for Champions League football, not going to Man United. But yes, Man United have the history. But we're not. If we finish sixth, I don't think our signings differ. is the question, because we didn't do anything this summer.
I do. I think. Sorry to cut you, George, again. I just think like a player like, for example, we were linked with that AC Milan midfielder / Barcelona midfielder. I forget his name. Ivory Coast player. You know him.
But they didn't come.
And now he went to Barcelona. Which is fair enough.
Didn't come.
But I'm saying we're still linked with him. Come the summer, who knows? Like, if we're in Champions League, I think we could get someone of that ilk that could kind of help our midfield or...
How?
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
The question I'm going with both of you is, the board have carried the same way for the last 22 years. What difference does it make if we're in the Champions League or not? That's my question with signing.
Look, you've got players even like Maddison. Yeah. Maddison said it. He said it straight. He said that, look, I'm waiting to the summer to see who gets top 4. And it's between us and Newcastle. And that's the type of player we need. Yeah. A ball-playing midfielder, a playmaker in midfield, in that hole. So Kane can push further up and we can supply him.
Again, 2 years ago, we could have still signed Maddison if we'd put the money up.
We could have. We missed opportunities.
But we didn't have Champions League football.
So
the question, my question is to both of you, is that Champions League football, in the Spurs philosophy of things, doesn't change our summer transfer window, because it's going to be exactly the same.
I'm gonna let George answer. Yeah. I've got an answer for him, but I'll let George answer
because we've been in Champions League. We were in Champions League for 4 years. Yeah, who did we sign of Champions League quality?
It's down to the board again. Go on.
I think to a certain degree, I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah. There's no point in being Champions League if you ain't going to spend the money on the actual players in the first place.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And we're not attracting them either.
That's true, but what we've got to say here is what we need to do to get this right, and what we need to get to do to get this right is be in Champions League, because effectively, if we're not in Champions League, then we ain't got the money to spend. So if we ain't got the money to spend, then the board will say, well, we don't have the money to spend, so that's why we're not in Champions League, because it's Joe Blogg's problem, because he was the manager and he didn't get into Champions League.
Yeah.
So it's what we're saying here is that excuses ultimately have been and gone now. We're in a situation where the board needs to come to terms with the fact that the supporters are now not going to carry on with this. I mean, certainly at the end of this season, if I'm looking at a club without a Conte and potentially therefore no Harry Kane, do I renew my season ticket? Ultimately, I've got a lot of better places I can spend £1,200 rather than a Spurs season ticket going there and getting upset every other week. You know, I may as well watch it on TV, get upset, switch it off, and then walk away, and not have the grief and stress of it all. I don't think I'm the only supporter who probably feels that way. I guess there are many others.
Yeah.
But we obviously love the club. I've been a supporter and a member for donkey's years, and it's very, very difficult. And it's very, very difficult. I'm showing my age here, but I've had many great times, whether it was watching the 81-82 Cup finals, the European success of the UEFA Cup. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have actually seen those things. The supporters now that haven't, I dread to think they've not built that engaged sort of. Some of them would not have built that engaged sort of feeling towards the club. But again, this all boils down to how far really ENIC want to take this. I keep on saying that I think that they have what their goal ultimately was, and that is to have a purpose-built, state-of-the-art leisure facility stadium in North London, paid for by me and the rest of the supporters. They've done it fantastically well. It's been a project that's brilliant for their marketing purposes. But really, other than that, unfortunately, we're not seeing that reflected on the players on the pitch. And that all boils down to not just Daniel Levy, the entire Spurs board. Every single individual on that board needs to look themselves in the mirror and say to themselves, did we really do justice to what is being played on the pitch? And are they giving value for money to those 62,000 supporters who are who are wheeling up and paying hard-earned money to watch that? And it's again, I think from where we were a few years back with that Poch team that was challenging for top honours to where we are now, the only thing that we've really got to hold on to is the fact that Conte is there. And yes, if we're not going to spend the money, then maybe there are players who would be attracted to Conte because he is such a successful manager and has the potential for success. But he's not going to hang around and spoil his own reputation on walking away from a club where he's never going to win any trophies from, like Jose was as well. He walked away, went to Roma and won the Conference League. I'm not sure if he's won any other silverware, but Tottenham will remain his only club that he's never won anything. And I think that speaks volumes.
Be Conte. George, thank you for your call today. It's been an excellent call. Excellent
Thanks,
call.
guys.
Yeah, got us the
Come
bait.
on,
Yeah. And come on, you Spurs. But yeah, you know what, right? The Champions League thing. The reason why I asked the question.
Yeah, go for it.
When Spurs were in the Champions League,
Yeah.
name me one signing that we made during those 4 years, or I think it was 4 or 5 years, under Poch, that was a Champions League quality signing.
That is the board's fault. I'm telling you.
But
Listen,
this is what I'm saying.
this is the board's fault.
But
Because listen,
we
even
finished
when
fifth or sixth.
even with Mourinho, yeah.
Yep.
Do you remember that time when we linked to Dybala,
Yep.
a Coutinho?
But this is
Arsenal fans were panicking.
Yeah, but this
they
is
were
the-
sweating,
this is the issue.
and we didn't go for it. We had like a small window, even though they might have not been the answer. But the fact that we're very linked to those players is because we're in the Champions League,
But we
and
didn't
we
get
had a
them.
top, not because it's the board though. They're
Yeah,
not
but this
they're
is
not
what
putting the
I'm
money
saying.
down,
This is
bro. That's what I'm trying to say.
We all know the board. Like every person's come on and said the board's
Yeah.
not going.
Yeah.
So if we finish 5th or 6th, or we finish
Yeah.
4th or 3rd,
Right.
or we finish 7th or 8th,
Right.
our signings are going to be exactly the same. So my point is,
I'm
I
saying
think
to
if we
you,
finish fifth or
if
sixth,
we
it's not-
finish in top 4, Madison
It
can
doesn't make-
a player like
it doesn't make
Madison,
any
a
difference,
player,
though.
of course it can.
Why-
A
because
player like Madison.
But look at the signings.
Madison
signings
goes
we made this
Newcastle,
summer.
fam. You can't, bro. Madison at Newcastle's
He goes
crazy.
to Newcastle now.
Yeah, but what?
But he doesn't come to because Spurs are not going to put up the money to go sign him. But I'm looking at it like this.
Okay, Madison's a bad example because all right, I see what you're saying, but I'm just
The players that we're getting, the signings we made this summer, would make no difference, right? They would have joined us or not without Champions League football.
I honestly hardly believe. Before get the next question, I honestly believe that if you get top 4 with a Conte, because remember he
we just did. My point is, we just did it, and still we got nothing.
No,
We got
but
nothing
I'm
to
saying
show
the
for it.
marquee signings. I think we'll at least make 1 or 2. I'm not saying like across the
But
board.
what makes you believe that when in the 4 years that Poch did it, and then the year and then Conte got it,
Yeah.
and yet we still didn't. We haven't.
Okay,
made
so
a marquee
Poch was
signing.
because we were building the stadium. That was the excuse. So we said, all right, fair enough. We're going to leave that one. And then obviously,
because just have to throw it in there. The Poch
Go on,
team. You look at the Poch team.
Go on.
Most of them were here before we got Champions League football.
correct. Yes.
Right? So we've got Champions League football
Right.
this summer. There's
Right.
no excuses. We've got the stadium. We're
Right.
open. This, that, and the
Right.
other.
Right.
But,
Right.
but Richarlison was our best signing. Our most expensive
yeah.
signing.
Yeah, he was.
Basuma was on the cheap. No one else touched him because of. I don't know if it was the court case why nobody touched him at the time. But again,
was a mixture.
we went in for him.
we did it quiet.
Longlay's
We
on
did it
loan.
quiet.
Let's be honest. Longley would have come to us because he wanted to play football.
Yeah.
Right? Perisic, I give you lot. I say, yes, he may have only come because... But I think he comes because of Conte.
It's a mixture.
It's a mixture. So what signings did we make this summer? Who wouldn't have come if we were 5th?
I still think Basuma was the reason why he come was for champs and Richarlison for champs.
Another year at Brighton then?
I don't know. He could stall it. You don't know. He could stall. He might not sign. He could just, and then another club gets alerted, and then before you know, it's a
I look
hijack.
at Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. have both gone to Arsenal without Champions League football. So Champions League football to Spurs makes no difference to who we attract.
I know, but Arsenal's different because they've got
Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, all can attract players without Champions League football.
All the clubs you mentioned aren't Spurs. That's what there's a difference.
But Champions League
they're not
makes
Spurs.
No difference
but I think with Spurs,
but like you said, it makes no difference. So they're all them 5 clubs.
no, that's why we need the
pick.
Champions League football.
I don't think it makes a difference because
enough.
I think Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko still pick Arsenal over Spurs without. Well, technically they did.
Even like players like Lo Celso and Dembele, when Poch before you left, those are the 2 signings he made. The reason why they come and the reason why. And the reason, and even Bruno. Remember, we could have got Bruno, but that was because of the board. Yeah. You can't lie. Yeah. And Bruno was going to come to us. Remember, he said it. He was going to come to us because of Champions League. It was Champions League football. If we weren't in Champions League, he weren't sniffing at us. I'm telling you.
But he still went to Man United without Champions League.
This was because the board. That was the board, bruv. Go on.
Let's get our next guest on. Is Barry still there?
Sorry, Baz.
Nick. Oh, has he crashed?
Is he crashed?
Hopefully not literally. He's in the car. Jesus.
Whoa there, buddy. Yeah.
Is that the last one?
No, there's Brains.
Brains.
Oh, Brains. Oh,
Brains.
I'm looking forward to this one. Oh, Royale weren't playing, so he's going to be okay.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I just think if we finish outside the top 4, yes, we will still get.
I don't think it makes a difference. And I saw that this summer, and I've seen that for the last 4 years at Champions League football. It just makes no difference to Spurs. We go out and still sign and say we got Bentancur and Kulu without Champions League football.
We don't get Bastoni. Like we don't
didn't
get linked.
Bastoni this summer.
I know, but we don't get linked with a Bastoni anyway.
Barry, you there?
Bazza.
No, mute. You're mute.
Fuck's sake. Anyway, I'm here.
He's here now.
It makes a difference. You should be here. We should be where you are.
Guys, first of all, man, that today you wouldn't want to be there. Let's just put it that way. You wouldn't have wanted to be there. It was
1 second. We just got a super chat, and because it's you, we're going to read the super chat out first. Jory said there's only one project that you can lead into success, and that is #Enoch out, #Levy out. Go on. Go back to what you were saying.
Look, guys, it was very subdued. The atmosphere outside was very subdued today. It was nowhere near what it was last year. It was very.
What before?
Before it was very subdued. We all felt it. There was this nervousness about it. And I don't want to steal what the final caller is going to come on, because I think it's going to be explosive what he's going to say. But no, I'm not Brains. I'm not going to steal it from you, man. But look, those players, man, they're all, apart from Kulu and Saturday, are an embarrassment to this club.
Wow.
We can sit there and say whose fault it is and start pointing fingers, but Conte, man, he needs to stop being stubborn. You don't play 2 in midfield against a team that's top of the league. They ripped our midfield apart, man. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Danish Player of the Year. Get the fuck out of our club, man. He is shit.
Do you not think, though?
Lloris.
Yeah, go on.
Hugo Lloris. Howler FC, man. What the hell? Hugo Lloris. Fuck, mate. This guy's a joke. And all these people that were coming on and the last few weeks saying, oh no, he's fine, he's good, he's been a good servant. Fuck off, man. He cost that goal ball wasn't going anywhere near the net. Hugo, I'll push it in.
Does that, you know?
But I don't know where to start, man. I am so angry, man. We had Bobby K over from Canada, Dan THFC and his family over from America. Honestly, we had a good day. We started at 8 in the morning. We went to Ben's coffee shop. Everyone was there. We did cake. We came to the ground. Everyone was happy. Everyone was thinking we're going to do something. And those players, man, they are an embarrassment. I know, Ashmatic, I know. We all know where the problem lies. But those players in a North London derby come out on that pitch and produce that. It's embarrassing, man. They should all be ashamed of themselves. Kulu in his post-match looked embarrassed. If I was Kulusevski, I don't care if there's a clause in my loan deal for me to sign. I'd find a way to get out of it. Kulu needs to go, man. Honestly, he doesn't deserve. We don't deserve him, man. We don't deserve Bentancur. Romero should have been sent off. The fan that came on the pitch and kicked Ramsdale was an embarrassment.
Yep.
It was just an embarrassment. Embarrassment from start to finish, man.
Oh, jeez.
So, where do we go from here? Look.
Messy.
Personally,
I'm the most positive. You know I'm the most positive person.
He is. He was.
I've got tickets, hotel booked for the Champions League final, man, in Istanbul. Chelsea fan, whoever, Man City fans, Barcelona fans, hook me up, man. I got 12 rooms that someone needs. Come on.
Gosh,
this, honestly, man, we're going to get slapped by Man City. I'm in the studio with Sai doing the watch along. We get slapped like 8-0 or something on Thursday night. Oh, man. Honestly, this football club. Why?
So,
why?
Nick, quick question on Lloris though, because everyone else is like, no, you got to play Lloris. On Thursday, would you change it up and take him out the team?
Yes, get Forster in the team. Get Alfie Whiteman in the team. Fucking hell, what did Alfie Whiteman do to do so bad? Mate, Hugo's done, I'm sorry. He's made 4 mistakes that's cost us this season, and I'm sorry all those people that have been Tottenham Hotspur, Sentimental FC, give Ben Davis a contract, give Eric Dyer a contract. The only thing they didn't do this week was give Lucas Moura a contract. Fucking hell, man. Honestly, I'm so raging, man. So raging with this football club. And look, Conte, just go, man. Just do yourself a favour. Walk out of this club and hold yourself high. Because we might as well have Ryan Mason. We might as well have Ledley King. We might as well have Doris the tea lady on that bench because those players are not performing for anyone, man.
Quick question, though, because you're saying Conte walk now, but is it... Conte's in a win-win situation, is he not? At this present, it doesn't matter when he leaves. If he leaves at the end of the season,
for him.
yeah.
It's embarrassing for him, man. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if we get if he's there for City. I'll be surprised if we get slapped by Man City. He's gone, man. He's gone by the weekend. I don't blame him, man. He's not been backed. Look, I watched the second half. I walked out on the 32nd minute, and I went outside to try and calm myself down. I came back in. I didn't go back to my seat. I watched the second half from the marketplace, man. I wasn't even going into the stadium.
Why don't you just come here with us and watch it with us?
Well, I couldn't because I had to get Bobby K home, right? So that was the most important thing. But look,
nah, leave Bobby K at the stadium.
I was sat there, right, and I was talking to a season ticket holder there's been a season ticket since 1991. He said, I'm bored of this football. I'm bored of not being in finals. I'm bored of my mates taking the piss out of me. He goes, I used to go to games and we were winning in the 80s and we were winning trophies. And he said, I got bored of winning trophies. And he said, and I said, so where's the problem? And he said, well, 15 managers can't be wrong, can they? So look, I'm not going on a massive rant of Enoch and Levy out. But, today in the marketplace, they were playing Dizzy Rascal instead of letting the fans sing. I mean, what the hell was that all about? Dizzy Rascal? Yeah. And I think he was playing like
Hey, hold on. You know who Dizzy Rascal is?
I know who Dizzy Rascal is, bruv. Come on, man. Don't worry about whether I know who
wait, quick
Dizzy
question,
Rascal is,
sir.
or Skepta, or all these people, man. I know who these people are. Yeah?
Right, now, quick question before we get into the super chat.
Yeah.
Was there Levy out? Because you were there. Was there Levy out chance or was there not? No one was bothered?
No.
What? None at
Not
all?
really, mate. This is the thing. And today was not the... Today was there. There was none at all, man. I didn't hear anything.
Fair enough.
There was booze at full time. But
Fair
like
enough.
I said, there wasn't...
That's the club's just
But
done. The fans are done. The fans are done.
What can I say, man? Look, Chelsea are going to go and sign Porro tomorrow because they're interested now. So, old fantasy football manager FC are going to go and sign another player. I'll tell you what, I'm going to phone up Chelsea in the morning and I'm going to tell them Emerson's worth 100 mil. Davies is worth 100 mil. Dyer's worth 100 mil.
Come help us out.
Højbjerg's worth 100 mil. And you know what? Today, Heung-min Son, and I know Brains is going to talk about next, he can fuck off as well because he's not worth. He's only playing. He is only playing at the moment because of the Korean fans and the marketing, and that's the only reason he's on that pitch.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm taking his thunder now, so that's it. Sorry.
Calm.
Anyway, guys, you've been there a long time. I'm still not home. I'm going to let Brains come on and drop the mic because I don't want to steal any more of his thunder. So, guys, big up.
Big up, bro.
It must have been a painful watch, but pray for me on Thursday night, man.
We are, man. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, man.
But yeah, cheers, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Big up, man.
Big up.
Get home safe. Yeah. Just before we get on to Brains, super chat. Thank you to Israel Uncovered, who's been a member for 22 months. Says, Levy, Lewis, Enoch out, scouting team out. We need a complete revamp. Time for a real change at THFC. New keeper, please, ASAP. Peace.
Peace out.
So let's bring out Brains. Before we start, Brains,
Wow.
I think you're going to be extra mad because you couldn't blame Emerson Royale today. So, apart from Emerson Royale, it was positive.
You know what? You know what? I would have rather had. You know how bad Cess is? I'd have rather had Emerson Royale on that side.
Chicken Royale, yeah?
Wow.
It would have been way better. It would have been way better. That's how bad Ryan Sessegnon is. Ryan Sessegnon is so bad. He runs like he wants bubble wrap popping underneath his feet. He's so tempted. He's like, I don't know what to do. Everything over his head, he was doing this. Like Saka is just God. He never knew where Saka was, not once. He gave him 6 yards in front of him. He showed him that side and that side. How are you defending? Like, bro, who taught you how to defend? I'm telling you right now, Ash, you know this, you're a defender. He is not a professional level defender for the Prem. He is
Championship level.
Championship, lower tier of the championship, and most likely second tier. And that is not his fault. He's had injuries. When he walked off, I've done this before. I've clapped him a couple times. I've given him respect. Today I was quite close to the pitch and I was screaming, "Fuck you!" I was screaming, "Bow your head and shit." No, I was hitting people's hands down. Don't fucking clap him. Stop. I was so angry with myself afterwards because it's like, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He is deteriorated so bad. And Conte will keep playing him. It's not Sessegnon's fault that he is a shit footballer and his manager will keep playing him.
This is what I said earlier.
Put that down?
Yeah, I said this earlier, Brains. I said he was at fault. But like both goals, he played some part of it, of it being his fault in both goals. Even though you can blame Lloris and you can go a shot not being taken out, but he plays a part in both goals going in. And me and Ash had the debate earlier. He was saying he was brought in to be defensive cover because he was worried about what had happened at the Emirates with Perisic and Saka. But at the end of the day, you go with your best team.
How crazy is that? That you go with a back three. You go with a back three because you want extra solidity. And then his Conte's system is that he needs wing backs who are going to progress the play. And now he picks Cess because he doesn't think Perisic can come back. But you've got three at the back. So what do you want? Do you want 6-8 players at the back? Like, you're basically just saying Arsenal just come and piss all over us all game long. You know, like, it was so defensive to start. And I agree. If that is the game plan, then I agree. Do it. And you know, congrats. Putting Sarr on was the right decision. Sarr was the only player for me that should be wearing a Spurs shirt today. Like, he was brilliant in the first half. He played with his heart and soul. He, for me, is a number one starter. He starts every game. Like, that's how bad this is. I'm not saying that he's a bad player. I'm saying he is the level, and he's such a young player. It's like, this is how bad it is. Like, we do need to have to like everything's got to change with this club. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's blame all over this today, but you cannot, for the love of God, just put this on Enoch and Levy. Like, you cannot do that. You are running away from things if you just do that. Conte is either sabotaging the team. He's either going, well, I don't have players. So I'm just going to play this dreadful football. I came on this show after 5 games in when we were like scrubbing dirty, ugly wins, horrible wins. And I was like, this is not sustainable football. You cannot go through a season like this. And he was doing it because he knew he's going, well, I didn't get the squad I wanted, so I've got very low players to pick from, and we've got a World Cup coming up, so I'm going to have to play a shit football. And he's trained players, because we saw them end of last season playing progressive, attacking, fast-flowing football. So we know that Conte ball going forward can work, but he has trained them, drilled them to play slow, side to side, back. Don't lose the ball. Don't you fucking dare lose the ball. Emerson, don't you lose the ball. So they come back, and like, well, I'd rather not lose the ball. Here you go. Someone else have it. Pass the buck. Someone else have it. I don't want anything to do with this football game here. Someone else. And that's what we're playing. And that is what we're going to keep playing under Conte, because he knows he doesn't have the squad that he needs to win football. Conte is only good if he has a world-class player in every single position. So why do we bring him into the club? Why is he here if we're not going to give him a world-class player in every position?
Can we attract world-class players, Brains?
We can't. So why would we ever even bring him in? Why is he here?
And so is this not a case of the fans wanted Nuno gone, they were desperate, Conte was the only man available, couldn't go, looking around again for another 10 managers, so Conte was the only option?
It saved Levy's ass at the time. It really did. It was like, it bought him a few more months. But you also have to look at it and go, like, there's multitude of factors here. The Spursy thing's there. There's the board that won't back a team when you need to back a team. You get to the Champions League final, guess what? Motherfucker, back the team now. Back the team now. Yeah. 5, 6 more world-class players, no. Get second in the league, back the team then. Back Poch then. Don't wait thinking like, oh, well, they're good enough. They're good enough. Look, we're not spending money, and look what they did. That's the bad mentality, and that bad mentality leaks down through the team. And then you have players who go through long campaigns to get to a final of a Champions League, and their minds, if they can't win at that point, they are dead food. They will never be anything ever again in their career. You have to just let it go. Dyer, gone. Kane, everyone who played in that Champions League, gone. You will never make it. That's the most hardest thing in football to understand. That sometimes when you go through long campaigns and it takes so much years and effort to get to the top, and then you get there and you fucking blow it, you are done. You will never raise yourself up like that again. Unless you have a new thing come in, you have a new manager come in, arm around the shoulder. You could probably keep Kane and build a team around him. I love the fact that Kane stayed here for so long, keeping on waiting for someone to show ambition to build a team around him. You could have got Kulusevski one side of him. You could have got Kavica the other side of him. You could have got incredible players around him. You didn't. So Kane's got to go. And not because he's not I think he's one of the world's best players. He's got to go because for him, we all know that he needs to go for his life and soul, and for all of our souls, we need to all see him go win something with someone. He can walk into Man United's team right now, and they will win the fucking league this season. Yeah. In January, they win the league this season with him. Yeah, they would. Son has to go now because he's a depreciating asset. His legs have gone. He cannot do it. You see him trying to step over the ball. The defender's looking at his legs going, bro, are you looking at your legs? Do you know what's happening down there? Your legs are moving so slow. Everyone in this stadium can tell what you're about to do next. You're dead. So Son has to be sold because we will not be able to sell him next season. We won't. So sell him now because you get money for him. We will not be able to get money for him like at the end of next season. He's got to go at the end of the season. So these are the things that these are big decisions. These are big boy pants. Pull your fucking big boy pants on and someone make a big fucking decision. It's got to be made. For me, I think Conte has got to go, yo, this is a joke. This was a joke from the start. I'm gonzo. I am gonzo. This is ruining my credibility as a manager. It's hurting a lot of people. Do you think we want to pay 60, 70, 80 to 350 quid a week to watch fossil football? Who wants to do that? He doesn't want to manage it. Players don't want to play it. Fans don't want to see it. Why are we doing it then?
Because people are gonna do it, aren't they? Let's be honest. Like, they're doing it now. It's not hasn't changed in the last, and the stadium is still okay. Admittedly, it's a North London derby, but when we play other teams that are lower, that stadium's gonna be full.
Molly Mao, listen to me. It emptied. It was half full from half time.
That's crazy.
Like, people are not going to come pay 350 quid. Like, you would not believe. I've never seen a North London derby that ended in 11 minutes. Like, it was done at 11 minutes. As soon as that ball went in, as soon as Hugo was practicing his backhand and knocking the ball back into his own net, as soon as that happened, the game was over. And like, it was so boisterous. It was one of the best atmospheres before a game that I've experienced in a while. Like, it was vicious. It was loud. It was pumping. They were trying to drown us out, singing the Sol Campbell song. The club was trying to drown us. What's that about? Like, what's that about? They're trying to drown their own fan base out. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then so we go in and we're just like, it's heavy, like everyone's singing, and then all of a sudden, Hugo loses that goal. By the way, not a single Spurs player said a word to him. No one said anything to him. This is what I'm saying. Your captain makes 4 of the biggest mistakes of his career, game-losing things, and in the first half of a season, and nobody at any point says anything to him. It's like, he's got the yips. We can all see it, right? He's lost it. And yet, what he's going to do now is shit on his entire career by staying to the end of the season. He's going to play 18 more games and just be like, yeah, at some point he's going to give an interview at the end of the season, go, yeah, I knew I basically lost an eyeball and I put a fake one in, so I was playing without an eye or some shit. He's going to say, he's like, yeah, I just totally lost it. I basically played for 2 or 3 of the last years of my career. I didn't have any hands anymore. I had like fake hands strapped on, whatever he's going to say. And we're going to go, but we had a chance. If you just stepped aside, let Alfie Whiteman come in, let fucking Fraser Foster just have a go. Like, you're going to stand there as a captain of this club and be as shit as you know you are? Like, these players go away on international duty and they're fire. Spurs had some, like, if you watched all the games of the World Cup, Spurs had great players there. I was watching that going, why is our club, why are we not like one of the greatest teams in the world?
Well, this is
all
the
of
question.
Our players are fire. They come back, they put a white fucking shirt on, and all of a sudden they are the shittest players that walk the earth. What is the common denominator? Is it Levy's fault? Did he go and see Levy every day and go, oh, that bald fucking cunt's making me play bad fucking football? No, it's not. They are being trained to play scared football. I don't know, Ash, you probably know it. Like, Mal, you know it as well. Like, if you played football under a manager who doesn't believe in you, do you think you're going to do well? He doesn't believe in what he's got. We know that. He protects his back line, but he knows that Dyer is not a center defender. He knows it. Longley is a good player. Longley actually played really well. At one point today, Longley made 2 tackles.
And
no one helped him out after it, and he still got through.
That, didn't I? Yeah. So
it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, so I think like it's such a shit show. It's such a breakdown that I don't see. I now no longer can stand in the camp of like, yeah, well, you know, you could say 3 years ago it was a nightmare for Arteta. The next year it was a nightmare for him, and next year, and then they stuck by him, and they just kept throwing money at the problem, and they solved it eventually. And he raised these kids up. He chose these young boys, and he stuck by them. He stuck by the young boys. Conte can't fucking stand youth. He hates anyone below 29 years old. He's got one of the
He's below
He's got one of
29.
the greatest right backs in the
Finished.
fucking country, and he won't play him. And he would be the greatest player for his system. It's a fucking puzzle piece. Straight in. He fits you, bro. And he won't play him because he fucking hates young people. He's got Piscozzi, who plays international games against fucking Lionel Messi. Like, he's a great young player. He won't even bring him into training. He's got a great number 10. And what the kid Robson, or what's his name, the number 10 in the under 21s, who's starting to do really well. He's got young boys in that under 21s team who are actually killing most players every week, and he won't bring them in. He hates youth. So what you want your club to be doing is giving you 3 or 4 big players every year. Like Ferguson used to bring in 1 elite player every year and then 2 through from the youth academy. What's he doing? When are we going to actually try and nurture the youth? You have to bring them in. You have to give them big games. We're not giving Spence a try or giving him a go by bringing on him for 5 minutes at the end of a Portsmouth game as a right winger. That's not. He should have started the game. Like, he's got to play a full game, and then you will see what he's like. So you can't say to me, if you'd be the biggest Conte inner, you cannot say that he's without blame here. He's a
I was about
stubborn.
to ask you, what are you saying about Conte then? Because the style of football, the style of play hasn't been great over the last season. I'd say this season, the style of play has been quite
hard to watch.
Yeah,
It's probably the best
archaic.
word.
Some say fossil.
Yeah.
Some say Jurassic Park. I don't know. So is it Conte? Is it a change?
For me? Is it for brains? Is this the question? It's not just on Conte. Is it a catalogue of errors going from top trickling down? Because the culture of the club seems to be affecting everything, and even Conte, no matter how hard he is, even can he fix it really? Does another manager come in and the same problems still happen?
Need a miracle
it's the
worker.
same board. Even if he does bring in Jed Spence,
So, like, now imagine you're Conte, right? You've had a fucking glorious career, and you were a stubborn motherfucker that was who you were as a player. He was a stubborn, grindy, gritty guy. He wasn't a good player. I grew up watching him. He wasn't a good player. I was watching him when his hair was falling out all over the place. I was watching when he was shooting himself with the alopecia stuff, right? I was watching him back then.
Yeah.
I was watching him before the wigs, right? I was watching him before the stitches.
He
was a gritty guy who would go and smack his own player on the field. I remember when he would go and hit his own players. Like, he was like that guy. Like, so if you imagine being him, and he goes and he takes teams and he moves things around and he puts it in his format, the only system that he fucking knows how to play, and it works and it wins titles, and it goes to another country and it wins a title, then you're going, fuck you and your ideas, you bunch of losers. Forget a whole crowd, 60,000 people telling me that Son's playing shit and I should drop him. Fuck you. I'm Conte. What do you know? And then he drops Son. Son comes back on in the game, scores 3 goals. What do we know? We're just fans. It's Conte. He's going to go, what do you guys know? You've not had my career. You're not managers like me. I'm elite. You know dog shit. And that idea of I know it all, son, you know a fucking drop. The ocean. You know a drop in an ocean of what you don't know. Conte is just so fucking stubborn that he will not let an opportunity for anything else happen. And when you have a manager like that, then either you will get success with him, you will, but you have to give him Bastoni, you've got to give him Skriniar, you've got to give him Gavardio, and then boom! Yeah, of course, you can go win any title on the planet with those back three.
Yeah.
But you don't. You have Dyer, who's been at this club for 6-7 years, being the shittest player at the club. You have Sessegnon, who I swear to God has narcolepsy. He just dips off. He just drops out. Like, you have Emerson Royale. Like, you have players that, like, back four, Emerson Royale would be all right. We wouldn't be hating him every week. He would work in a back four, but you need a back four.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a joke. You actually have. You could do this thing where you move. You could have played Ben Davies today as a left back. You could have put Dyer as a right back. If you wanted to have a super strong back line of people who are really defensive but also could progress the game, you could have had, Ben Davies as a left back, Longley, Romero, and Dyer. That's your back four. If you were really worried. And both of them can actually still progress the game a little bit. But he didn't. He's never going to do that. Instead, he pulls off Doherty when Doherty's actually doing all right.
Yeah.
Leaves Sessegnon on the pitch when he's been dogged for the whole fucking game. He pulls off when the only player who's doing anything of worth on the pitch, Kulu, he pulls him off. And then for the last 9 minutes, when you're 2-0 down, not a single thing happened for us. And I spoke to a few people after the game, and they were like, yeah, you know what so many people after the game were like, that's Conte going, yeah, I'm gonna show the board what's up.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm doing this now. Like, that's what Conte is like. I'm doing this. I'm gonna make this worse until you back me.
Yeah.
If you don't give me elite level players, then I'm just gonna keep doing this.
The positive thing is we have invested in a wing back in Destiny, but I'm not sure if the Destiny is going to be good or not. But
well, if going by what Brains said,
I'm not too sure in his Destiny.
That's what I'm saying to you. That's what I was trying to get at, mate.
The problem you've got is, like you said, all our players went off to the World Cup, did well, come back to Spurs, goes to shit. So Destiny's doing all right at Udinese right now. It'll probably come to Spurs and it'll be completely turned into
This is what I mean.
Yeah.
This is what I mean.
So
I just got something that
But the thing about
Roman Vega tweeted.
I was just going to say,
go on.
Destiny's like a super young kid. Isn't Destiny like the same age as Spence?
He is the same
And
age as
he's
Spence.
like tearing it up.
Yeah.
He's
This
tearing it
one's
up
mad.
in Serie A with goals and assists, killing it. He'll come to us, and Conte probably be like, no, sorry, bro. You have to be this tall to ride the ride. You have to be this old to fucking come and hang me.
I got a feeling he was a Conte sign. Conte wanted him. So he might be one that he will play, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
because by the time he eventually probably comes here, he's probably going to be 29.
Yeah.
I got a tweet from Ramon Vega from the Spurs, and he said the very big question here is not anymore Conte, we passed that. It's what are the owners / board of the club going to do? ? No doubt a sale or a new investment has to come in. You can't have world-class infrastructure like that without any supporting progress to match that. Hashtag Levy out, hashtag Lewis out, hashtag Enoch out.
And yeah, there's no what
makes
you
sense.
can't even add. You can't
And
even.
I had Paul. Did you guys see the Paul O'Keefe tweet?
No.
We've not seen it yet.
saying, like,
You know, someone named Brains has kept us on.
He said that Conte is likely to walk tonight. He said that rumor is Conte is likely to walk tonight.
I did read that out. Someone said to me that was a fake.
And it's like,
yeah.
They've already spoken to Poch. Let's be honest.
The thing is, I don't think Conte will walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said. Yeah.
Would you take Poch in right now if it meant what? Would you take Poch in right now if it meant just watching better football?
The thing I've got in that is that I don't think it's going to be better football. I just think it's going to be a change of formation because we've got to remember what Poch was like when he first came and when it ended. He didn't have his players then. He hasn't got his players now. He hasn't got the Dele Allis. He hasn't got a young Harry Kane. He hasn't got a son coming through. He hasn't got them. He hasn't got Jan Vertonghen, Alderweireld. Everyone forgets the period before that. He was going to get sacked against Villa, and we were playing terrible football. So, will it get any better? At PSG at times, he was playing terrible football. So, at the end of the day, I'll take anything right now because I don't know where it's going to go. But at the same, we're going to have the exact same problems in 6 months, in 12 months, with Levy still around. It doesn't change. Yeah. And we've just, as fans, we either got to accept it and just go, fuck it, or we just got to go, no, we want massive change. We want you completely gone. But we got to find an owner that wants to buy Spurs, and we're not going to find that.
Yeah, I can't see that happening for quite some time.
Yeah.
And even if we got like $1 billion, $1 billion investment, that's going to be too late for this window. So what we're left with is we're like looking at the window going, please just let's get Hincapié in. But we're not even looking at him till the summer. Like, they're not looking at centre backs, and that's the biggest outrage for me. Like, yeah, we need wing backs, but we could just play Spence. But we really need a world class centre back. This season is going to be bad without a world class centre back. But we're not looking at it, and so we're looking at Trossard and Pedro Porro. Yeah, great if we get them. At least we'd be able to maybe attack. I think bring Trossard. I would take Trossard. I would take Trossard. I would take Solly March. I would take Pascal Gross. I would take fucking. I would
Brighton.
take anyone from Brighton. I would take Danny Welbeck over Son.
The problem you got, no. The problem you got though. Let's put this in perspective. Brighton have a plan, and they've stuck to that plan.
Yeah,
I
was saying I would take one of their players because maybe
I'll take their board right now because they got a plan, and actually they wouldn't go from Pochettino to Mourinho to Nuno to Conte. They wouldn't do that personally. They go, no, we wanted Potter, we want to change the whole concept of the club. Who's the next man to come in? Actually, let's go and get someone who's going to play similar football so the players don't have to go and adjust and play and entertain the fans. They went and got De Zerbi. Bit shaky at the start, worked for them. So we're not doing that. We're going from one manager, we go back and forth.
You're right. You've got a young manager who, you could bring, this idea that it's a fallacy, right? That you bring in the world's best managers into your club and they can turn shit into gold dust. No, it's you make a great squad. So Potter leaving Brighton proves that the squad is good. That it's not just Potter, but what his idea is continued on. They understand, okay, cool, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater if he goes. Let's build on that. Let's keep the same mentality and then build a squad around it and keep working towards great things. And that just shows it. At our club, it's so frustrating how we have names on a paper. Sometimes when you see some of our starting lineups throughout this season, you'd be like, if you showed that to any real football person around the world, you'd be going, wow, that team should be able to take on anyone in world football. And then you watch the games and you're like, how does that team play this style of football? That is the most gross, slow, boring, and you think, who's doing that? And then Conte gets asked about it sometimes and he goes, no, I was telling them to go forward. So it's wait, so
that's what I said.
Wait a minute. So you have no control over how they're playing?
Jose said the same thing though. Jose was saying the exact same thing. Do you remember when it all started to go to shit after Liverpool, and he was saying, I'm not telling the players to do this, but yet they were still doing it. So
personality.
You go, actually, is it the players? Because
it is the players. It is the players.
That for me means that you've got the common denominator players who were in the squad through all that period, they got to go. It's quite clearly a deep mentality thing, a mentality thing.
100,
for me,
bro.
You look at Dyer and you go, yeah, but he's a leader at the back. It's I don't know about that. maybe the fact that he speaks multiple languages, maybe he's spreading bad shit through multiple languages. You know, like
Yeah.
I just don't see like I just don't think that you can take players through a long process and then for some of them to lose and go through the downturns and then try again. I think you try again and you start it again. You look at so many teams, they bring new players in and they quickly flush out the stuff that didn't work. Spurs, for some reason, we keep them around for so long. We can't get rid of shit. We keep players past their sell by, and this is the problem with Son. It's like we're gonna keep him past the sell by, and in 5 years' time, we're gonna be struggling to sell Sonny on because it's gonna be like, well, no one wants, you know, an aging player who was great once upon a time, you know. And it's I think one of the things that the biggest controversial thing that we might do, and it's a heartbreaking thing to think, is well, it's not controversial that we got to get rid of Son. I think most people are coming around to that idea that unless you drop him for 4 games now and then bring him on and see if you can like just burst him back into energy, I think if he doesn't do it by the end of the season, I think you've got to be looking to try sell him because he's still got decent stats. He's still the last whatever seasons, he's had amazing stats. You can get good money, 60 million surely for him, right? The season, if he goes another season, it's dead. But I think you got to be looking at the future. I think you got to be looking at the end of the season. If Kane gets a 70 to 80 million offer, I think you got to take it. And then you got to bring a manager in, and you've got to invest in really building a new squad, like of top level players. And then at that point, yeah, bring Poch back, whatever. But I think whoever you bring in, a young manager, you get Eddie Howe or someone like that, they can do it with a great group of players, you know, with an ideology, like everyone together, the club's ideology. Right now, you got Levy is so meticulous with things in the club. Like, I want this to be there, and I want that to be there, and I want that, you know, everything's, the brand is so meticulous. When it comes to the football, it's dreadful. It's so out of shape. So, like, get everything together. You don't just build a brand with a logo. Everything through your company has to be the same thing, the same mentality. Don't put a fucking Dare to Dream on seats and then play fucking Dare to fucking Stay Awake football.
Stay awake.
You know what I mean? Don't play football and put people to sleep, you know? It's crazy to me. Get it all right. Don't stop with the football team. Football team first. Make a great football team, then build everything around it. Done. And this fucking thing.
Therapy.
Brains, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening.
You guys were great tonight. I was genuinely enjoying. On the way home, I felt so low, and I was genuinely enjoying you two, like, bickering back.
That's all about, man. That's what it's about, bro.
No, we
need to do it this way. No.
Poor Ben and Sim. But we're all Spurs fans.
It's passionate people, man.
No, thanks, Brains. Thanks. But
thanks for having me, lads. And,
cheers,
man.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Big up, man. Come on, you Spurs, bro. Well, I just want to add to that, man. I mean, there's a few people in the comments I've been reading, and yeah, you know, everyone's got different opinions. Everyone's like, you know, are fans expecting too much? Me as a fan, all I want is attractive football. I want to be entertained. First and foremost, that's the first one. If we can't get top 4 and we can't get trophies, bare minimum, please entertain me. Please. That's why I watch football. That's why I play football. That's why I got into football, because of the entertainment side. But if we're not going to do that by minimum, what are we really doing here? That is my thing. Second thing I would say is I still go behind that whole left side could have just gone. That whole left side, apart from maybe Longley, that whole left side could have just throw it away, start again. But I just feel like that formation, we just looked very bare in the middle. I still think moving forward, it wouldn't hurt if the wing-back situation is not working. Many fan shows have said it before. I know loads of fans have said it. Everyone's calling for the four at the back because the wing-back situation, there's no creativity. The quality's not there. it's left to desirable. It's desirable. It's left to it's not work. It's not really worked out. I would prefer if, and we've done it before. When a team's done a 3 in the middle, we've matched them up.
Yep.
And I wouldn't mind having a 4, a 2, a 1, and a 3 at the top, because that's very attacking. But you still got the protection of the 2 of the four defenders.
If you want that, you want a new manager.
This is it. This is it. This is the thing. But I do think Conte can. He did the 4-2-4.
He's not
gonna start with it. I know, but I'm just saying the flexibility.
Yeah, it's the flexibility now.
Is a little bit.
Well, stop.
It's a little bit there.
Stop playing Cess and your problems are solved.
Yeah. Cess isn't good enough. So I agree with you, man. On that one, I've come full. Full cycle on that one. Cess not good enough for us right now.
But yeah.
How do you see it, man? How do you call it at the end?
It's not even like for me now. Next steps are
it's Man City next. So
yeah, I just want to get the season over and done with, and hopefully Arsenal won't win the league. At the end of the day,
simple as that.
And end of the day, I'm not fussed about the entertaining football. What I'm more fussed about is if you're gonna ask me to pay a lot of money to go to that stadium when I do go, or you're asking the season ticket holders to pay, then I expect the same to be given. I expect the board and that to give the exact same privilege to what the fans are paying, and they're not. Yeah. If we were still paying White Hart Lane prices or in between that, this is the kind of football I'd expect, and I probably wouldn't be complaining. So when everyone goes, "Are we expecting too much?" Don't charge us that much. It's the way it goes. Don't when we're going to a 5-star restaurant being served an English breakfast basically that we could have got at home.
Say Salt Bay. He's doing the Salt Bay of us.
And that steak's rubbish. And that's where the problem lies, is that the expectation rises when you're paying more for it, and people are gonna.
And you got a world-class manager as well. So
and you've got there as well. Yeah, so there's more expectations.
Correct.
When you set out and got Conte, you said you want to win a trophy.
Correct.
Well, then go and win that trophy.
You can't expect the fans not to be mad after like.
So I'm all about at the football right now. I lost interest in the football back at the beginning of September, but we're 5th, and I'm just like, well, he's 5th, he's done okay, but let's get on to the next step. You got to back him. If you're not going to back him, get rid of him, go change it up, go get a new manager. But because what else? I might as well just go watch entertaining. I might as well watch entertaining football from a team that's 6th or 7th.
Or you could watch your Classico.
Yeah. So, I didn't have this expectation at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is for fans.
It has been changed because you've said it.
Yeah.
You haven't come out and said, as the board or anybody like that, you said you take that Amazon documentary, right?
Yeah.
At the Spurs Christmas party, he says on it, our aim is to win trophies.
There
well,
it
then
is.
do it. If that's your aim, do it. When he done his interview afterwards, he said, I'm going to play entertaining football. I want to get the Spurs identity back. We haven't had Spurs identity since 16-17. And even then, was that Spurs' identity? It was just a one-season wonder that we had.
Yeah, it was a one-season. 84 goals in that one.
And it was just brilliant. It was a good send-off to White Hart Lane.
It was.
Just like,
I enjoyed that season so much. I missed it.
And we just got to be careful what we do. As a club, I think it just hurts right now for a lot of us Spurs fans. And you can see everyone in the chat, not in the chat, in the calls. They're not as emotionally attached.
No, you can't. You can't be.
And Levius calls that.
You can't be.
Levius calls that with a lot of fans. We're not emotionally attached as we used to be.
Yeah.
And it seems to be getting us and the club seems to be getting further and further apart. I'm not sure all fans, but the fact that at half-time, Brain said half the things are not. Nick
gone.
saying he didn't even watch the second half from the stands.
Yeah, he walked out. Yeah, that's really poor.
I know that's the emotional fans, but yet you could kind of see on the South Stand wasn't up and rocking in that second half.
Yeah.
He wanted to create for an atmosphere, and it's becoming a serious problem.
Yeah.
But
do things need to go bad before they get better? That's the only silver lining I can put on this.
And do you know where I agree with you on that is because if you take Arsenal right now, because we played them today, if they're the blueprint right now, we're going through that first phase of shit that they did under Arteta. After they won the FA Cup and they had that first year, and it was just went shit.
Yeah.
And then they got the team, but it just wasn't working. They still had bad apples like Aubameyang and stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take trust in the manager when it goes to shit. trusting the manager through that shit.
Yeah.
And we have to as well, because we can be blamed as well, because every manager, when it's gone to shit, we probably as fans have gone, I want him gone.
Yeah.
But we've got the Levy mentality too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I
we have
agree.
to, because once it started to go wrong for Pochettino, a lot of us stood in that camp and went, ugh.
Yeah.
So
There was a lot of watch outs.
Yeah. So us fans and think, but we need to get to a point where actually, if Ten Hag would have come in right now, would he get the same results as he's getting at Man United? Probably not, because he wouldn't have the Casemiros, the Antonys, and stuff like that.
Of course not.
So, and that's where we're at.
Of course not.
And I just think for the next, I don't know, if Conte does go, then we're back to square one, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be same, recycle, repeat, and we're just, as fans, do we accept it?
I think that's the biggest fear for all Spurs fans, just going back on ourselves.
Back on ourselves. So,
it's been stagnant. Yeah.
Before we go, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Ashmatic007.
And yep, you can find me on A View from the South Stand TV on YouTube, and also at Southview COYS on Twitter. So if anyone is interested, please subscribe to my channel. Ben and Sim will be back tomorrow
to break this all down.
Good
luck.
Yeah, so expect a lot of stuff to come out tomorrow. But as always, please like, subscribe, and as we always finish on, come on, you Spurs.